Chapter 1481 The Six Forbidden Places in the Dark Forbidden Area, the Tomb of the Ancestor. When the ancestors left, the crisis in the Xuanxu ancestral world would naturally disappear. At this time, Jiazhu and Zanzu had not left. In fact, Jiazhu and Zanzu were very curious about the promotion of Xuanxu Sacred Realm to Xuanxu Ancestral Realm. Of course, they did not directly inquire about the secrets of Xuanxu Ancestral Realm, but asked in a different way. The ancestor of all methods, Xuanxu Holy Realm was promoted to Xuanxu Ancestral Realm. Can this method be replicated? Jiazhu asked. If this method can be replicated, then Zanman can create an ancestral world. In that case, how powerful the war gate will become. It can't be copied. Yi Tian replied. Actually, this is a treasure that I obtained from the Dark Destruction Domain, and it was integrated into the Xuanxu Holy Realm, so that the Xuanxu Holy Realm can be promoted to the Xuanxu Ancestral Realm. Treasure obtained from the Dark Destruction Domain. Jiazhu was shocked. He didn't feel that Yi Tian was lying. At the level of Yi Tian, it was already the most powerful level in the forbidden area of darkness, so there was no need to lie. Therefore, he believed. In this way, if the ancestors of destruction know the truth, I am afraid that they will regret their death. The treasures they did not find were discovered by you. Zanzu laughed. The three chatted for a long time before dispersing. In the days that followed, the news that the Xuanxu Sacred Realm was being promoted to the Xuanxu Ancestral Realm spread, and it was also reported that the ancestors of the human race had the top ancestors' combat power, and also had a clone, which was also the top ancestors' combat power. This time, countless powerhouses in the Dark Sacred Domain, Dark Destruction Domain, and Dark Soul Domain were extremely shocked, and even the Eternal Sect and the countless forces in the Dark Forbidden Domain were shocked by Yi Tian's strength. Some people even ranked Yi Tian as the #1 powerhouse in the Dark Forbidden Realm. After all, Yi Tian's body and his avatars together might have surpassed the Holy Ancestor and destroyed Ancestor. Of course, without a real fight, no one knows who is stronger and who is weaker than each other's true strength. What if the first Ancestor and the Holy Ancestor were destroyed and their strength was hidden? This is also impossible to say. In the blink of an eye, millions of years have passed. On this day, Xuanxu Sacred Realm was finally completely promoted to Xuanxu Ancestral Realm. Xuanxu Ancestral Realm has just been promoted, and a large number of rare resources and treasures have been born, and all of them belong to the human race. Moreover, Yi Tian only collected some of the top resources of the Xuanxu Ancestral World, and other resources have not been moved. Let the cultivators of the human race go to find them. Whoever finds them belongs to whoever finds them, and no one is allowed to snatch them. Even some weak people were lucky enough to obtain some treasures, and thus rose to the sky in one step. Under such circumstances, the human race gave birth to many strong men and lucky geniuses. Perhaps after a long time, the human race will give birth to some more supreme ancestors. Another time passed. On this day Yi Tian's cloned body left the Xuanxu Ancestral Realm and began to wander in the Dark Forbidden Area. He has been the ancestor for so long, and he has hardly walked in the Dark Forbidden Area, so he really doesn't know much about the Dark Forbidden Area. Therefore, this time he is going to learn more about the Dark Forbidden Area. This walk, he found that the Dark Forbidden Area is really too big, far beyond his imagination. If you don't use the ancestor's ability to travel through time and space, just by flying, even if the ancestor wants to cross the entire Dark Forbidden Area, I am afraid it will take millions of years. Today's huge Dark Forbidden Area, so far only 3 dark holy places have been born. It is really strange. Moreover, there are some places in the Dark Forbidden Area that even the ancestors dare not break into. For example, this forbidden place in front of Yi Tian. At this time, Yi Tian stood in front of a black giant mountain. This mountain was located in the void of the Dark Forbidden Area. The black mountain giant mountain was equivalent to the volume of a holy world, and it brought a very dangerous breath to Yi Tian. It's like entering and falling. What is this place? Yi Tian was very curious and did not go in immediately, but contacted Jiazhu. Jiazhu, I found a black giant mountain in the Dark Forbidden Area. What is this place? Yi Tian asked. Soon, the ancestor of Jiazhu's incarnation traveled through time and space and came to Yi Tian's side. He looked at the black giant mountain in front of him with great fear, and said, "This is the Black Mountain of Calamity." The ancestors entered the Calamity Montenegro, and 2 fell directly. The other one was the elite ancestor, and it fell not long after it came out, and when it came out, it was already crazy, and it was possible to make the ancestor go crazy. One can imagine what terrifying things happened. The ancestor of all methods, although you have a clone, I suggest you not to go. Some attacks even ignore the connection between the clone and the main body, and directly kill the deity. The ancestors also have the incarnation of the ancestor, and the combat power is still very terrible, but there is still no one dare to use the incarnation of the ancestor to enter Calamity Montenegro. Just worry about this problem. Yi Tian also knows that copying the body cannot be omnipotent, so he is not reckless, otherwise he would not have asked Jiazhu. At this time, Jiazhu continued. There are currently 6 places in the dark forbidden area that are forbidden to the ancestors, even the top ancestors dare not enter. There are dozens of places where ordinary ancestors will fall when they enter. The top ancestors have a chance to survive. Afterwards, Jiazhu banned the 6 real ancestors. Calamity Montenegro, Destruction Swamp, Boundless Wall, Sky Sword Grave, Illusory Dreamland, Boundless Devil Sea. These 6 forbidden places can be called the tombs of the ancestors, and many ancestors have been buried. Before the birth of the first Dark Holy Land, the Dark Destruction Domain, the Dark Forbidden Domain actually gave birth to the first batch of the oldest ancestors, and most of these oldest ancestors fell in these 6 forbidden places. Another part of the ancestors disappeared, and no one knows where they went. Some people say that Zi Zhaozgud has sealed himself and entered a deep sleep, and some people speculate that he has left the Dark Forbidden Area. When Jiazhu said to leave the forbidden area of darkness, Yi Tian was stunned and couldn't help asking, "Isn't the forbidden area of darkness everything? How can you leave the forbidden area of darkness? Could it be that there is another world outside the forbidden area of darkness?" "I don't know." Jiazhu shook his head. "It is rumored that every long period of time, an illusory portal will appear in the dark forbidden area. Once the ancestor enters the illusory dream, it will disappear completely. It is said that this illusory portal is the gateway to another, the passage of heaven and earth, but this is a rumor, and no ancestor has come back. Our ancestors live forever, unless they really. If there is no progress, I will think about leaving." "It is so." Yi Tian nodded. He thought that he had broken through to the top ancestors' combat power, and the dark forbidden area had no secrets for him, but he did not expect the secrets to be even greater. Chapter 1482 10 years in the realm, strength skyrockets. "So, the dark forbidden area is not only the ancestors I have seen?" Yi Tian asked curiously. "Yes, there are indeed more than these ancestors. I don't know how many ancestors there are." Jiazhu said. "If the ancestors were hidden, no one could find them. And at the beginning of the birth of the dark forbidden area, how many good ones were born? No one knows what it is. It is said that before the birth of the dark destruction domain, quite a few of those sleeping ancestors were top ancestors, and after endless long years, they could not progress one by one, and they did not want to leave the dark forbidden domain, so one by one, they fell asleep, waiting for new opportunities. The birth of the dark holy land is of little value to them. After all, compared with the entire dark forbidden domain, the dark holy land is just a treasure land, and it is very valuable to the general ancestors. But for those top ancestors, the value is not necessarily very high. The ancestors of destruction, belong to the ranks of the weaker ancestors of the top ancestors. If the top ancestors are divided into the most powerful ancestors, the distance between the ancestors of destruction and the ancestors is extremely strong. The ancestors are still very far away, so the destruction of some treasures in the Holy Land is still quite useful to them, which can improve their cultivation, so they are keen to compete for the 703 treasures of the Dark Holy Land. Unable to be promoted to the first ancestor of the strong, and even unable to progress in the future, maybe one day he will fall asleep by himself, or leave the Dark Forbidden Area, or break into the 6 forbidden areas, take a chance. So it is. Yi Tian nodded. Indeed, if a top ancestor has been unable to break through and has lived for too long, life has no meaning for such an ancestor. At this time, if you don't go to death and break into the 6 forbidden areas, you can only fall asleep, wait for a long time, and then wake up. Maybe the dark forbidden area will give birth to the strongest ancestor, then they have hope of breaking through. The ancestor of 10,000 laws, it was not long before you broke through to the first ancestor, and you have the top ancestor's combat power. You can continue to practice. When your strength is close to the first ancestor, you can go to some forbidden areas under the 6 forbidden areas. Dangerous, but there is still a good chance of surviving, maybe you can get some opportunities. At present, you must not enter the 6 forbidden places. Jiazhu reminded. I understand. CJFI Yi Tian nodded. Then, Jiazhu left. And Yi Tian took a deep look at Calamity Black Mountain and left here. In the following days, Yi Tian went to see the 6 forbidden places, but they all looked at the outside world and did not enter. Just observing from the outside, he felt the breath of terrifying death, as if he would fall if he entered. It's still the cultivation of the ancestors. It's not a long time before I broke through to the ancestors. I can continue to improve my cultivation. Let's cultivate the time and space of silence first, cultivate the time and space of silence with the Xuanshu ancestral world, and block the breath of the time and space of silence. Other ancestors should not be able to perceive it. Moreover, the Xuanshu ancestral world belongs to the human race completely, and other ancestors will not come here to investigate, so it should be very safe. Yi Tian thought to himself. Although he is not afraid of the ancestors and destroys the ancestors, if the news that he can cultivate the annihilation of time and space leaks, it will not be a good thing for him if it attracts the attention of some sleeping peak ancestors. Therefore, it is better to be careful now. Then, Yi Tian cultivated a top-notch annihilation time and space in the Xuanshu ancestral world, and a lot of resources were invested in the annihilation time and space to cultivate the treasure of annihilation. Then, Yi Tian refined these annihilation treasures and continuously improved his cultivation. In this way, Yi Tian's strength steadily improved. A boundary year just goes by. When Yi Tian's cultivation base continues to grow, he will also try to create more ultimate ancestral skills. For example, the ultimate ancestral skills of defense can be completely stacked. Yi Tian has created the ultimate ancestral skill of ancestral armor, but he can also create a second ultimate ancestral skill of defense, such as the ultimate ancestral skill of Taoist clothing, condensing a Taoist clothing, covering the body, resisting attacks, similar to such an ultimate ancestral skill. For example, the same is true of the ultimate ancestral skills of the speed category. The ultimate ancestral skills of the movement type and the ultimate ancestral skills of the wings can also be superimposed. In the same way, the same is true for the ultimate ancestral skill of time. He can come up with another ultimate ancestral skill that accelerates his own time, which means that his speed, reaction and attack power will skyrocket. Once he has more ultimate ancestral skills, his own strength will be even stronger. So ever, Yi Tian continues to create an ultimate ancestral skill. In the blink of an eye, 10 realm years have passed. At this time, Yi Tian created 5 ultimate ancestral skills. The 5 ultimate ancestral skills are the ultimate ancestral skills of Golden Wings, the ultimate ancestral skills of Daoyi, the ultimate ancestral skills of Extreme Arms, the ultimate ancestral skills of Dream Butterfly, and the ultimate ancestral skills of the Hand of Annihilation. Among them, the ultimate ancestral skill of the Extreme Arm is to exert a terrifying effect on one arm, which is even more terrifying than the ultimate ancestral skill of Domineering, and the 2 ancestral skills have a weak superposition effect. The Dream Butterfly ultimate ancestral skill is the ultimate ancestral skill of time. It can quickly speed up its own time, which means its own speed and reaction are extremely fast. The faster the speed, the stronger the attack power. Therefore, this ultimate ancestral skill it is very helpful to Yi Tian's strength. If it cooperates with the eternal ultimate ancestral skill, it will directly fix the time and space, and the effect will be better. The Hand of Annihilation is the ultimate ancestral skill of annihilation, and it is the ultimate ancestral skill created by Yi Tian from scratch. The entire Dark Forbidden area is afraid that there is only this ultimate ancestral skill. Having created these 5 ultimate ancestral skills, coupled with the ultimate ancestral skills that he mastered before, and Yi Tian's 10 years of continuous refining of the annihilation treasure, his strength has undergone earth-shaking changes. My current strength is at least 20 times stronger than when I just broke through to the top ancestor. I should have reached the peak of the top ancestor now, and I can easily defeat the first ancestor and the holy ancestor. Yi Tian muttered, if he cooperates with duplicating the body, it will be enough to kill and destroy the ancestor and the holy ancestor. Moreover, his Aoba ancestor clone has also improved a little, and with the addition of a few ultimate ancestral skills, he has barely stepped into the top ancestral ancestor combat power. And stepping into the top ancestor's combat power, the power increase of the Dark Soul domain has dropped a lot, and even with the power increase of the Dark Soul domain, the combat power is far less than the body. UAA and the others are about to break through to the realm of the ancestors. Yi Tian muttered. Chapter 1483 The ancestors of the human race were born one after another. Yi Tian passed the ancestral law to Xiao Yu and the others for quite a few years. Originally, they could not integrate the ancestral law so quickly, but Yi Tian has often guided them in these years. After all, these ancestor methods were created by Yi Tian, so he is the one who understands these ancestor methods the most. In order to make his relatives become ancestors faster, Yi Tian often guides them, thus shortening the time for them to become ancestors, many times. Otherwise, they would need at least 100 years of realm before they can hope to integrate the ancestor law and become an ancestor. Another realm year passed. On this day Yi Tian's wife Xiao Yu was about to fuse the ancestral law of light. Once the fusion is successful, Xiao Yu will become an ancestor of light. At this time, Xiao Yu and others have all returned to the Xuanshu ancestral world to retreat and practice, so with the protection of Yi Tian's body, she will break through to become the ancestor and will never be disturbed. This day, boom, Xiao Yu has successfully integrated the ancestral law of light and is breaking through the ancestral realm. Countless energies poured into her body. The entire Daoshan realm and even the surrounding dark forbidden areas are in the ancestor vision. The great event of the ancestor's breakthrough shook the time and space, so he couldn't hide it at all, and many ancestors felt it. Immediately, a famous ancestor's thought came to the Xuanshu ancestral realm across time and space. They did not dare to directly break into the Xuanshu ancestral realm, but they sensed the situation. Xuanshu ancestral realm, someone broke through to the ancestral realm, who is it? The ancestors were shocked. Among the human race, Yi Tian is not the only one who is evil, and even the ancestor of Qingye is Yi Tian's clone. Therefore, among the human races, there is no second supreme domain ancestor who is qualified to attack the ancestor. Although there are quite a few supreme ancestors of the human race at present, there are even powerhouses at the peak of the supreme ancestors. But these ancestors are very clear about the difficulty of attacking the ancestors, either creating the ancestor method by themselves, or integrating the unowned ancestor method of the fallen ancestor. However, there are only so many ancestors who have fallen, and almost all of their ancestors have been merged again, so it is too difficult to obtain a new ancestor. As for the self-founding ancestor law, not everyone is as evil as Yi Tian. Moreover, the ancestors could not create their own ancestors, because they couldn't get rid of their own ancestors, and it was too difficult to create an ancestor that was different from their own ancestors. Even the holy ancestor and the destroyed ancestor have no way to create the second ancestral law, so they have no way to help other people become the first ancestor. Therefore, they could not understand how the human race suddenly gave birth to another ancestor. Jizu, do you know who the human race broke through to the first ancestor? The eternal hierarch asked curiously. Jizu shook his head. To tell the truth, I am also very shocked. Among the human race, only the ancestor of Wanfa is the ancestor of our Wardor, and other human races are not disciples of Wardor, so I don't know much about the human race. Knowing that the other supreme ancestors of the human race are not qualified to be the first ancestors, then there is only one possibility. What a luck, destroying the ancestors is a little jealous. Wuju's complete ancestor law, even he can't get it. Although he is sure to kill a weak ancestor, that ancestor will not create the ancestor law for him, unless the ancestor is willing, otherwise he will not get the other party's ancestor law. However, there are not many ancestors who are willing to make the ancestor law. In a blink of an eye, millions of years have passed. At this time, Xiao Yu successfully broke through to the ancestor realm. Although the combat power is not very strong, it is also the real ancestor. After Xiao Yu's breakthrough was successful, he appeared and gave himself the name of the ancestor, Yezu. At this time, the other ancestors knew that the person who broke through as the ancestor was the wife of Yi Tian, the ancestor of all methods. Both husband and wife are ancestors, which is an extremely rare situation. Many ancestors are not married, and some ancestors are married, but their wives have already fallen, or their strength is very low, and they cannot withstand the hardships of long years, and they have fallen asleep. Therefore, these ancestors were very jealous of Yi Tian. But there is no way, no matter how jealous it is, there is no use. The human race gave birth to a new ancestor, and Yi Tian alone is equivalent to the 3 ancestors, so it is equivalent to owning the 4 ancestors. With Yi Tian's strength, the human race is almost comparable to the destruction of the holy race. Another half year has passed, and on this day, the human race has become the focus of many ancestors. Just because the human race gave birth to another ancestor. Boom, Yi Xingchen broke through and is entering the realm of the ancestors. Countless taboo energies poured into his body, helping him to temper his body and condense the body of the ancestors. Soon, the ancestors came again, and they were dumbfounded. How could this be? How did the human race give birth to another ancestor? It is impossible to obtain the masterless ancestor law by luck, there is definitely a problem with the human race. For flowers, the ancestor of time and space was shocked. Could it be that the human race has mastered the method of breaking through to the first ancestor without the first ancestor method? There is an ancestor guess. Impossible, the first ancestor method is the only way to become the first ancestor, otherwise there is no way to become the first ancestor. Perhaps the human race is really lucky and has obtained two masterless first ancestor laws. 1. Another ancestor said, at this time, many ancestors were jealous and mad. If Yi Tian's strength was not too strong, they would really break into the Xuanshu ancestral realm to explore the secrets of the human race. Millions of years later, Yi Xingqian officially broke through successfully, entered the realm of the ancestors, and called himself the ancestor of the stars. Soon after, Yi Xingyu also broke through to the realm of the ancestors, calling herself the ancestor of Xingyu. 0. Yi Yu was a little slower, but after 2 years of realm, he entered the realm of ancestors and called himself Yuzu. Since then, all of Yi's relatives have entered the realm of the ancestors. The human race gave birth to several ancestors one after another, and anyone could see that the human race was abnormal. Yi Tian couldn't explain it either. He said that he created many ancestor laws. Will others believe it? Don't believe it at all. Even if you really believe it, the other ancestors will be very panicked, because he can continue to create the ancestor law, which means that he can continue to create the ancestor, which is even more terrible. This day, Yi Tian chatted with Jia Zhu. Unexpected. The ancestors reminded, the ancestor of all methods, you have to be careful with some holy ancestors. Be careful of the holy ancestor, why? Yi Tian frowned. The ancestor was silent for a while, and finally said, the holy ancestor is not simple, and your human race has borne the ancestors one after another. The holy ancestor will feel that your human race has a big secret, maybe it will be of great help to his strength. Even if it does not help, if you master your secret, maybe you can continue to create the ancestors so that the Dark Holy Gate can become a force that surpasses the destruction of the Holy Clan. Therefore, he may attack you. I'm not afraid of a mere saint. Yi Tian believes in himself. After all, his strength has reached the top ancestor's combat power, and he has reached the peak level of the top ancestor, and the general top ancestor is far from his opponent. No, the strength of the holy ancestor may not be strong, but he knows the more terrifying top ancestor. Jizu revealed a huge secret. Chapter 1484 Bone Beads in the Forbidden Land of the Sea of Bones. Open black lens bracket subscription close black lens bracket. The holy ancestor knows the more terrifying top ancestor. Yi Tian said in shock. Yes. The ancestors nodded. Not many ancestors know about this secret. The ancestors of destruction know it, the ancestors of the Dark Holy Gate know about it, and I and the ancestors know about it. Could it be the Sleeping Peak ancestor? Yi Tian asked curiously. The ancestor said solemnly, yes, it is the top ancestor who was sleeping. According to our guess, the holy ancestor could become the first ancestor of the Dark Sanctuary, and he became the ancestor from the founder of the ancestor method, and he should have received the top ancestor guidance. Otherwise, in a mere dozens of years, how did he create the ancestral law? Yi Tian nodded. Even if the evildoer was like him and had the ultimate ancestral gift, it would take a long time to create his own ancestral method. And the original ancestor was definitely not as enchanting as him, but he could create his own ancestor law in the 703 years of dozens of realms, which is absolutely abnormal. After all, the cultivation system of the Dark Sanctuary was not long since its inception, and it was impossible for the Dark Destruction realm to guide the cultivation system of the Dark Sanctuary, so it was even more difficult to become the ancestor at that time. How big is the knowledge? However, in such a case, the holy ancestor can create the first ancestor law and become the first ancestor, which is naturally abnormal. Jia Zhu, do you have any evidence? It's just speculation. I'm afraid it's not enough. Yi Tian said. Naturally, it's not just guesswork. The ancestor said again. Once, the Dark Destruction domain once again invaded the Dark Sanctuary. At that time, I had just been promoted to the first ancestor, and the holy ancestor had just lost the power increase of the Dark Sanctuary. At that time, the darkness when the sanctuary was at its weakest, the holy ancestor was not the opponent of the destroyed ancestor, and the destroyed ancestor took out a terrifying treasure. To be able to kill an elite ancestor, the ancestor was still in the elite ancestor, and the other ancestors were still fighting, so they did not pay attention to the battle of the ancestor and the destruction of the ancestor. But I am different, I have a special method, I can perceive the entire dark ancestor domain battles and any slight fluctuations. At that time, the blow that destroyed the ancestor's sacrifice, the treasure was blocked by one hand and 2 fingers. I didn't feel wrong, it was indeed a finger, although it was fleeting, but it was indeed a finger, and then disappeared. After that, the ancestor of destruction retreated and did not dare to invade the Dark Sanctuary again. From then on only, the battle between the Dark Destruction Domain and the Dark Sanctuary doesn't involve the ancestors, it's just a small fight. Before, I was too weak to perceive the strength of the master of that finger, but now I know that it is definitely the top ancestor, and it is many times stronger than the top ancestor of destroying the ancestor, the holy ancestor and others. The other party took action for the holy ancestor, and I am afraid that he has a close relationship with the holy ancestor, so I guess he has instructed the holy ancestor, and may even be the master of the holy ancestor, and is the oldest top ancestor in the dark forbidden area. After Jia Zhu finished speaking, Yi Tian took it seriously. Although his current strength has reached the highest level of the top ancestor's combat power, it is not far from the peak of the top ancestor. But he is very clear that he should not be invincible at the level of the top ancestor. Some of the oldest top ancestors, I am afraid that the combat power has reached the level of no progress. Naturally, he would not deliberately be the enemy of such a top ancestor. But the key is that those top ancestors may be his enemies. After all, the human race gave birth to the ancestors one after another, and cultivated another ancestor world, and his strength was comparable to the top elite ancestors as soon as he broke through. These all went against the cognition of the ancestors. All the ancestors knew that he had a big secret, but they were not sure to deal with him. But if one day, those top ancestors unite, he is really in danger. If it wasn't for this reminder from Jia Zhu, he really thought he was very safe, almost invincible. Although I feel that I have reached the pinnacle of the top ancestor, in fact, my strength can be improved a lot, but if I cultivate slowly, the rate of strength improvement will not be too fast. Now my strength improvement rate is very slow. Unless you get a big chance. Yi Tian thought to himself. Big opportunities are rare, and there are almost no opportunities in the dark forbidden area, unless it is those forbidden areas. The 6 forbidden places are too dangerous for me, but although some of the other forbidden places have ancestors who have fallen, there are also records of ancestors who escaped and survived. Those ancestors may not have obtained good things, but it's okay for my cloned body to fall. As long as I don't encounter means that can obliterate my body by copying my body, it doesn't matter. Yi Tian secretly said. In short, there is a slight risk, but not much. Moreover, he can't keep cultivating here all the time. In that case, he will almost never be able to break the shackles of the top ancestors and hit the level of the strongest ancestors. In the days that followed, Yi Tian began to communicate with each ancestor to learn some information about the forbidden area. Those ancestors may not tell all the information, but at least they will reveal a little bit, plus the information of Zanzu and Jizu. Yi Tian knows more about these forbidden places. Under the 6 major forbidden areas, there are dozens of forbidden areas that are dangerous to the ancestors, but there are only 8 forbidden areas that are very dangerous to the top ancestors. Other forbidden areas are not dangerous to the top ancestors, only ordinary ancestors and elite ancestors. There is great danger. Therefore, even if there are good things in the general forbidden area, they have already been scraped away. Therefore, Yi Tian's goal is the 8 top forbidden areas. After some screening, Yi Tian chose one of the forbidden places, the Sea of Bone Forbidden Land. This forbidden place has many inexplicable bones, which is why it has such a name. The Bone Sea Forbidden Land is very dangerous, even the top ancestors dare not go deep, only dare to stay outside for a few breaths so that they will not fall. In the Sea of Bones, there is a special creature, bone soldiers. This kind of bone soldier is a bit like the Bone Clan of the 3000 Evil Clan in the Dark Destruction Domain, but the difference in strength between the two sides is worlds apart. Ordinary bone soldiers have ordinary ancestor combat power, and there are many bone soldiers of 5.8, at least 1,000, as well as bone generals and bone kings. Among them, the bone will have the combat power of the elite ancestors, and the bone king has the combat power of the top ancestors. So many ancestors, once surrounded, even the top ancestors have no chance to escape. What is the chance of the forbidden land of the Sea of Bone? Only one thing is known at present, and that is the bone beads. Once, the ancestor of destruction sneaked into the forbidden area of the Sea of Bone, beheaded a bone soldier, and obtained a bone orb, and the bone orb can improve the cultivation base. This is the news revealed by the ancestor of destruction, but no one dared to go in to hunt and kill the bone soldier. Because, even the ancestor of destruction was seriously injured and returned, and almost never came back. Bone beads can improve my cultivation, which is suitable for me. If my clone body can kill more bone soldiers and bring back some bone beads, then I can improve my strength in a short period of time. Yi Tian thought to himself. Chapter 1485 The Effect of Bone Beads. In front of the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. Yi Tian didn't hesitate for a long time, then resolutely stepped into the forbidden area of the Sea of Bone. Boom, the endless pressure hits, and I don't know how many times stronger than the pressure from the outside world. If an ordinary domain ancestor enters here, I am afraid that they will be crushed by the pressure in an instant. In such a place, it is difficult for the ancestors to exert the destructive power of the outside world. Of course, he will be suppressed, and the bone soldiers and bone generals in the Bone Sea Forbidden Land will also be suppressed, so it is very fair. As soon as Yi Tian entered the Bone Sea Forbidden Land at this time, he immediately attracted the attention of the bone soldiers inside the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. Immediately, a large number of bone soldiers poured in. I saw that the 10 bone generals rushed to besiege thousands of bone soldiers, but the Bone King did not dispatch. The Bone King is estimated to be too lazy to take action. After all, if a first ancestor comes to take action, if there is an ancestor who will send an incarnation to harass, won't the Bone Kings be annoying? Moreover, 10 bone generals plus thousands of bone soldiers are enough to surround and kill a top ancestor. If it really can't be beaten, the Bone King will naturally take action. Yi Tian's purpose this time is very clear: first kill a few bone soldiers, grab the bone beads and then leave. He is not greedy, otherwise he will not even think of a bone ball. Kill. 29 Yi Tian has displayed a series of ultimate ancestral skills, with ancestral armor defense and Taoist clothing ultimate ancestral skills. The two can be superimposed, which can naturally increase his life-saving ability. Immediately, Yi Tian broke out the Golden Wings ultimate ancestral skill and the Streaming Light ultimate ancestral skill. The speed reached the limit and rushed towards the bone soldiers. Immediately, he used the Domineering ultimate ancestral skill and the Extreme Arms ultimate ancestral skill, a punch. Bombed at a bone soldier. Boom, this bone soldier was blown up by Yi Tian with one punch, leaving behind a bone bead. Immediately, Yi Tian put away this bone bead. At the same time, these thousands of bone soldiers and 10 bone generals shot together. Even though Yi Tian's speed was very fast, he was still hit by some attacks. However, his defense is too strong. The two defense ultimate ancestral skills are superimposed, and the Taoist clothing ultimate ancestral skills are broken, but the second layer of defense ancestral armor ultimate ancestral skills have not been broken, so it is only a little easier. Does not matter much. Kill. Yi Tian hit backhand, smashed a bone soldier again, and obtained the second bone bead. Court death. There was a roar from the depths of the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. Obviously, Yi Tian killed 2 bone soldiers, angering the Bone Kings. Boom, 10 Bone Kings shuttled from the depths of the Bone King Forbidden Area. Each Bone King is very powerful. In Yi Tian's eyes, it is stronger than the Ancestor of Destruction, at least 3 or 4 times stronger than the Ancestor of Destruction. Who knows how many Bone Kings there are here? Once surrounded by 10 Bone Kings, he is afraid that it will be difficult for him to escape. Although he is not worried about the safety of the cloned body, once the cloned body falls, the bone beads cannot be brought back. So, Yi Tian escaped again, and after beheading a bone soldier, he quickly escaped from the Sea of Bone Forbidden Area. These Bone Kings did not dare to chase out of the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. There seemed to be some restrictions. As for the restrictions, it was unclear. 3 bone beads, not bad, Yi Tian said excitedly. But this time, it was the first time he entered the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, and the Bone Kings were careless, which allowed him to obtain 3 bone beads at one time. Next time, he is afraid that it will be difficult for him to have such an opportunity. Because once he entered the Forbidden Land of the Sea of Bone, the Bone Kings would definitely take action. Never mind, let's refine these 3 bone beads first to see the effect. Yi Tian's cloned body returned to the Xuanshu ancestral realm and handed the 3 bone beads to the original body. Then, Yi Tian's body began to absorb and refine a bone bead. Boom, countless pure energy poured into Yi Tian's endless ancestor's body, quickly tempering the ancestor's body, nourishing the soul, and strengthening the ancestor's power. This effect, Yi Tian was shocked. Compared with the effect of bone beads, those annihilation treasures are simply garbage. The top ancestors dare not enter the forbidden land of the Sea of Bone, and they will fall if they are not careful, and even if they enter, it is difficult to kill a bone soldier. Otherwise, the ancestors will take risks. That is me, copying the body is not afraid of death. For me, the forbidden land is a treasure land, not a forbidden land. Yi Tian muttered. In the following days, Yi Tian has been refining bone beads. His cultivation is constantly improving, and his strength is also increasing rapidly. Almost 10,000 years ago, he could refine 1 bone bead, and now 30,000 years have passed, and all 3 bone beads have been refined. At this time, Yi Tian's strength increased by 10%. Don't underestimate the strength of 10%. In the past 30,000 years, the strength has increased by 10%. What if there are enough bone beads? Moreover, Yi Tian has reached the top-level top ancestor combat power, and at this level, he can increase his strength by 10%, which is very terrifying. I must get more bone beads. Maybe with my foundation, I can be at the top ancestor level and have a combat power comparable to the strongest ancestor. Yi Tian thought to himself. Soon, Yi Tian's cloned body came to the Bone Sea Forbidden Land again. This time, as soon as Yi Tian entered the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, 10 Bone Kings were dispatched to surround and kill Yi Tian. Around, there are also a large number of bone soldiers and bone generals to assist. It can be said that Yi Liao was surrounded by heavy circles. In the end, Yi Tian desperately killed a bone soldier at all costs, obtained a bone orb, and escaped with an almost annihilated body. Such an injury is almost certain to die for the ancestor, because the source of the ancestor is almost exhausted. But this is copying the body, so Yi Tian doesn't care. After obtaining a bone orb, Yi Tian's cultivation has improved a lot. However, Yi Tian knew very well that the next time he entered the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, he would not face 10 Bone Kings, but more Bone Kings. So, Yi Tian tried the cloned body to see how strong the Bone Sea Forbidden Land was. When Yi Tian entered the Bone Sea Forbidden Land again, he encountered 20 Bone Kings and was surrounded and killed. No way, if you copy your body and enter again, you will still be besieged and killed, and you have to take another way. Yi Tian muttered. His other method is to copy the body of the Bone Race and enter the Bone Sea Forbidden Land as the Bone Race. The Bone King cannot be copied. The Bone King has a high status in the forbidden area of the Sea of Bone. Suddenly a strange Bone King appears, which is easy to be recognized. If you copy the body of a bone soldier, the possibility of exposure will be lower. Yi Tian thought to himself. Of course, even if he copied the bone soldier's body, he would not appear in front of other bone soldiers, but would hide and inquire about the situation of the bone race. After all, the bone soldier he copied, once he met the bone soldier himself, was immediately exposed. Yi Tian has fought with those bone soldiers for a long time, so naturally he can copy their bodies. Yi Tian randomly chose a bone soldier and was ready to start copying. However, when he copied it out, something unexpected happened. Boom! The copy body of the bone soldier was directly annihilated. This was forcibly annihilated by the origin of the Dark Forbidden Area. Bone soldiers are not allowed to appear in the Dark Forbidden Area. This is why the bone soldiers, bone generals, and bone kings dare not come out, and they will be annihilated when they come out. Chapter 1486. Turn into a bone soldier and sneak in. Bone soldiers are not allowed to exist in the Dark Forbidden Area. I didn't expect it to be like this. Yi Tian was surprised. He thought it was the Bone Sea Forbidden Land that bound those bone soldiers, bone generals, and bone kings, but he did not expect that these bone soldiers, bone generals, and bone kings were not bound by the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. The only price is instant annihilation. Therefore, they did not dare to come out. It seems that you can't copy the bone soldiers in the Dark Forbidden Area. Then the body enters the Ancient Sea Forbidden Area, one hand steps into the Ancient Sea Forbidden Area, and then copies the bone soldiers so that the bone soldiers appear directly in the Bone Sea Forbidden Area, so there should be no problem. Yi Tian thought to himself. Yi Tian's body came to the forbidden area of the Sea of Bone, and a hand instantly stepped into the forbidden area of the Sea of Bone, duplicating the body of the bone soldier. In the next moment, Yi Tian's hand stretched back. The bone soldier body appeared in the forbidden area of the Sea of Bone, and left away from this area, and soon a powerful divine sense came in, and there was no trace of outsiders, so he didn't care. On the other hand, there was a bone king who sensed Yi Tian's bone soldier body, but he didn't care. After all, it was a real bone soldier. Be careful next time, otherwise once this bone soldier falls, if you do it again next time, it will be easy to be discovered. Yi Tian secretly said. Therefore, he tried his best to control his breath, and did not enter the depths of the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, but just wandered outside to learn about the situation here. There are huge bone mountains in the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. On each bone mountain, there are some bone soldiers cultivating, and there are even bone generals cultivating. Therefore, Yi Tian did not dare to approach these bone mountains. Only after sensing the breath of the bone soldiers and bone generals from a distance, he moved away. And there is no Bone King on the periphery, and I don't know why the Bone King doesn't guard the periphery. In the blink of an eye, 10 years have passed. Yi Tian has not encountered any trouble in these 10 years, after all, he is very careful, and these bone soldiers have not fallen, most of them have been practicing hard. There are relatively few bone soldiers on the outside, and there are more bone soldiers and generals in the Bone Sea Forbidden area, but if he gets close, it is easy to encounter the bone soldier he copied. It's not that he didn't expect to copy the dead bone soldier, but that is even more dangerous. Because the bone soldiers in the Bone Sea Forbidden Land probably all knew that the bone soldiers died in battle. If they suddenly appeared again, it would be strange not to be investigated. Even if his duplicate body just appeared, it would be discovered by the Bone Kings, so as to find the problem. Therefore, he did not dare to choose a dead bone soldier as a copy template. I can't get any information from the outside of the Sea of Bone Forbidden area, so let's go deep into the Forbidden Sea of Bone Sea. Yi Tian decided. Although this decision is very risky, the big deal is that this clone body will fall, and I will think of other ways to obtain bone beads later. So, Yi Tian went into the depths of the Bone Sea Forbidden Land carefully. Yi Tian's luck seems to be good. Without being exposed, he easily entered the depths of the Forbidden Land of the Sea of Bone. At this time, he saw a huge bone mountain with buildings. Yi Tian directly approached this bone mountain and entered it. This bone mountain seems to be a trading mountain. Many bone soldiers and bone generals are traded here. There are also some shops here. Seeing this strange scene, Yi Tian couldn't believe it. It's just a small forbidden area, but there is still a place for trading. This is like the ancestors of the dark forbidden area, just such a little ancestor, who really lived in an area. Where can they develop into a trading place? The number of bone soldiers here is probably a lot, beyond my imagination. Yi Tian realized. Sure enough, he saw many bone soldiers, and the number of bone soldiers he saw at the moment was in the thousands. Among them, some bone soldiers seemed to know him and greeted him, but he did not respond, for fear of saying the wrong thing. But those bone soldiers didn't seem to care either, and they didn't seem to have much friendship. If it was in the outside world, the first ancestors knew everything, and they were afraid that they would be discovered soon. But it is very suppressed here. The ancestors have no way to know everything, the spiritual sense cannot detect too far distance, and there are a lot of bone soldiers. Many bone soldiers stay in their residence, and even have been in retreat. The breath will not diffuse out. Therefore, if Yi Tian's bone soldier's body is not close to that bone soldier, it will not be easy to be discovered. The bigger possibility is that the bone soldier is cultivating and has not come out, nor has he sensed the outside world, so Yi Tian will not be exposed at the moment. However, over time, he will definitely be exposed. Soon, Yi Tian came to a shop. The owner of the shop is a bone general, and when he saw Yi Tian coming, he said, "Little disaster, I heard that you followed the Bone Kings to besiege the ancestor of a dark forbidden area and was injured. I didn't expect to recover so quickly. Why, want to come to me to buy some treasures?" "Look," Yi Tian said lightly, "these are new arrivals, take a look." The bone general took out an orb with treasures inside. Yi Tian didn't know what these treasures were, and he didn't know anything about this place, and he didn't have the currency here, so naturally he wouldn't really buy it. Now he not only wants bone beads, but also wants to know the situation here. He felt that this place was too simple, so many bone soldiers, bone generals and bone kings comparable to the ancestors, it was too abnormal. Moreover, this bone general mentioned the dark forbidden area, indicating that they knew the situation of the outside world. Quote, "Hey, I don't know what happened to the ancestor recently, I came in several times, and I almost died." Yi Tian exclaimed. The bone general nodded. Indeed, there was no such situation in the past. The dark forbidden area is very weak, the number of ancestors is very small, and they are even more cherished. I didn't expect a top ancestor to enter our base many times and kill several ancestors. Bone soldier, but the top ancestor is still dead. Obviously, the Bone clan in the Bone Sea Forbidden Land thought that Yi Tian's cloned body was the original body, and they didn't even know that it was just a cloned body. Yi Tian kept chatting with the Bone General and asked for information from the side. Although the Bone General was puzzled many times in the middle, he felt that Yi Tian, Zhao's good, was not speaking normally, but the other party did not doubt Yi Tian either. The identity of Yi Tian only felt that Yi Tian was injured from time to time, and he was a little confused. But in the end, Yi Tian still obtained some useful information. For example, this shop occasionally goes to buy goods. As for where to buy goods, he is not quite sure, but it is definitely not a forbidden place. This shows the other side. Second, the bone ancestors who are comparable to the ancestors are called ancestor-level bone soldiers, ancestor-level bone generals, and ancestor-level bone kings, and they are called war bone tribes. Third, the war bone clan once entered the dark forbidden realm, but now there is no way to enter, and the war bone clan needs the resources of the dark forbidden realm very much. It is said that the resources of the dark forbidden realm are of great help to the war bone beads and can greatly improve their cultivation, with strength. Just like the bone beads helped Etn a lot. But if there is more information, he can't inquire about it, because if he inquires from the side, he is afraid that something will go wrong. So, he quickly left here. Chapter 1487 Harvest 18 Bone Beads. The news that Etn inquired from the bone general was that the bone soldier was in retreat to heal his injuries, so he should not come out in a short time, nor would he go on a mission. Therefore, he will not be exposed for a short time. In the following days, Etn hid here, secretly spying on the news. The bone soldiers and bone generals also chat at ordinary times. They don't think that there is an ancestor who can sneak in here, so they don't care, they will talk about everything. Gradually, Etn came to know some things. Among them, the word Etn heard the most, door. These bone races came to this Bone Sea Forbidden Land from the door. The Bone Sea Forbidden Land is very large. Occasionally, some Bone Mountain treasure land will be born. Every Bone Mountain treasure land will produce some resources that are very precious to the bone race. Therefore, the Bone Sea Forbidden Land is a treasure for the Bone Clan, so they will stay here and encounter precious resources from time to time. Moreover, whoever discovered the precious resources, then the resources belong to whom, even the Bone Kings could not occupy their treasures. Certainly, every bone race can leave here at any time, and a new bone race will be replaced. From this, it can be seen that there are many ancestor-level bone races, and the number is probably beyond Etn's imagination. If so many bone races appeared in the dark forbidden area, the major forces could not stop them, and they would be wiped out in an instant. How can the Bone Sea Forbidden Land be so powerful, and the Bone Sea Forbidden Land can't even be counted as the 6 great forbidden lands? Only at this moment did Etn truly realize the terror of the Forbidden Land. It's no wonder that when Jia Zhu mentioned the forbidden area, he was terrified and persuaded him not to go in, even if he had a special clone. In addition, he also knew that the currency of the bone race was bone stones. Bone stones are divided into many grades, and the bone stones used by these ancestor-level bone soldiers are ancestor bone stones, which can restore their combat consumption by 703, and can also slowly improve their cultivation, so they are used as currency. However, Etn currently does not have any bone coins. Not long afterward, Etn left the Bone Mountain and came to the outskirts of the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. He found an uninhabited Bone Mountain and practiced in seclusion. Etn's current strength is very limited. After all, what he copied was a bone soldier, not a bone general. He also wanted to copy the bone general, but the bone general is scarce in strength. Once the bone general is copied, the risk of exposure is too great. The exposure risk of bone soldiers is smaller, but the strength is too weak, and it is not very obvious to kill other bone soldiers. Then, Etn wants this bone soldier body to control the ultimate ancestral skill. He already knows the ultimate ancestral skill, so changing a body and then controlling the ultimate ancestral skill is somewhat difficult, but it is not impossible. Time passed slowly, and in a flash, hundreds of millions of years passed. This day, Etn's bone soldier body has already controlled several ultimate ancestral skills, and the strength has reached the elite ancestor's combat power. But even so, Etn wanted to kill a bone soldier instantly, but he couldn't do it. Moreover, once fighting, it will inevitably attract the attention of other bone races, and it is impossible to hide it. Etn's current idea is to obtain enough bone beads or other resources that are of great help to him, so that his own strength can reach a terrifying level, and he no longer needs to go through such a sneaky method. At that time, he swept the Bone Sea Forbidden Land with absolute strength, bombarded a large number of bone soldiers, and obtained bone orbs. Continue to wait for a bone mountain to be born, and then use my strength to snatch enough treasures, so as to exchange ancestral bone stones, and then buy resources that are useful to me, and then leave the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. Etn thought to himself. Road. In a flash, billions of years have passed. This day, a bone mountain was finally born. Immediately, many bone soldiers and some bones will rush to this bone mountain. Etn naturally rushed over for the first time. At the same time, he is also paying attention to the bone soldier who is the same as his cloned body. Only when he sees the other party is not there, he dares to take the lead. Obviously, the bone soldier was not lightly injured, and he is still healing. On the mountain of nameless bones, a skeleton soldier rushed in and began to look for resources. Unexpected, a large number of scarlet flowers appeared in a bone mountain valley, and many bone soldiers competed for it. Roll. Yi Tian shot. He used the ultimate ancestral skills of domineering power and the ultimate ancestral skills of flowing light, one of which made his speed reach a terrifying level, the other made his strength to a fearful level, and it was very suitable for the bone race. Boom! A skeleton soldier was blasted away by Yi Tian. He was the first to rush into the valley, and captured these blood-colored flowers. These bone soldiers are stunned. I don't know why Yi Tian has become so powerful, apart from the fact that his body has not changed, his strength has reached the strength of a bone general. These bone soldiers were stunned, but he was not stunned, but continued to snatch resources at an extremely fast speed. It didn't take long for the resources on this bone mountain to be robbed by these bone soldiers and bone generals. And Yi Tian relied on terrifying speed and powerful strength to snatch many treasures. Yi Tian doesn't know these treasures, and he doesn't want to understand the functions of these treasures. He only knew that there was not much time left for him, and he would definitely be suspected of having such a terrifying strength suddenly, and perhaps his identity would be exposed soon after. Therefore, he must immediately sell these treasure resources to those shops of the bone race, and then buy the resources he needs. Not all the resources of the bone race have a great effect on him, and some resources overlap with the resources of the dark forbidden area, so the effect is not good. At present, he only knows that the bone beads are very helpful to the ancestors. Moreover, although the bone beads are not very powerful to the ancestors, they are also somewhat useful. CJFI. Bone Mountain, the core of the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, is a shop. Yi Tian came here and immediately took out his treasures and said, "Sell all these things, how many ancestral bones can you produce?" Yi Tian asked. The shop owner weighed it and estimated, 300,000 ancestral bones, are they for sale? Sell, Yi Tian replied. Immediately, Yi Tian said again, "Do you have bone beads here?" "What, you want bone beads?" The shop owner's expression changed. Ancestor-level bone soldiers, bone generals, and bone kings all possess bone beads, which are the source of their power. Bone tribes are forbidden to kill each other in the forbidden land of the Sea of Bones, so it is impossible to obtain bone beads in the forbidden land of the Sea of Bones. If you want bone beads, you can only buy them from other places. And bone beads are a very taboo treasure, and no one dares to sell them publicly. However, there are definitely people selling bone beads in private. It's just that the bone beads are not of high value to the bone race, but are of high value to other races, so some bone races will buy them privately and sell them to other races at high prices. But why did Yi Tian buy the bone beads, and there are no other races here? Just ask whether to sell it or not, I am willing to buy it at a high price. Yi Tian asked. Sell, but I don't have many bone beads in my shop, only 5. If you want, I'll give you 10,000 ancestral bone stones. The shop owner said. Can. Yi Tian purchased 5 ancestral bone stones. Afterwards, he took the remaining 250,000 ancestral bone stones and went to other shops to inquire about them. In the end, he only bought 13 bone beads. Adding these 5 bone beads, that is 18 bone beads. 18 bone beads plus 120,000 ancestor bone stones, this is Yi Tian's current harvest. I have to leave. Those shops are afraid that they will be suspicious. Although they sold me bone beads, it is estimated that they will also investigate me. Once they are investigated, I will definitely be exposed. 1. Yi Tian thought to himself. So, he immediately left here and went to the edge of the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. Soon, he came to the edge of the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, and Yi Tian's body was waiting outside. Boom! Yi Tian's body stepped into the forbidden area of the Sea of Bones, and took all the 18 bone beads and 120,000 ancestral bone stones that he had brought with him. At the same time, Yi Tian smashed the replica body that could not resist with one punch and destroyed it. The cloned body shattered and dissipated, and there were no bone beads at all. Sure enough, there are no bone beads. Yi Tian sighed. This was his experiment. In fact, he had long known that there would be no bone beads this time. The cloned body seemed to be the same as the original body, but once it died, it would dissipate, so it was impossible to give birth to bone beads. Otherwise, he duplicated his body time and time again, constantly giving birth to bone beads. Where would he need to steal bone beads from the bone race? But nothing in this world is so good. Boom! Yi Tian left the Bone Sea Forbidden Land in an instant, and a Bone King from the Bone Sea Forbidden Land appeared here, a step slower. What's the matter, the breath of that ancestor? Didn't he fall? The Bone Kings wondered. Last time, Yi Tian's hand came across and quickly disappeared. They thought it was an illusion, but this time it was definitely not an illusion. The ancestor who was besieged by them appeared again. Maybe it's a special clone. The Bone Kings guessed so. But soon, the Bones became angry. Just because the Bone Soldier who was just bombed and killed did not really fall, he was still in retreat in the forbidden area of the Sea of Bone to heal his wounds. What happened to the Bone Soldier who was just beheaded? Soon, the Bone Kings investigated it. A fake Bone Soldier mixed into the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, turned into a Bone Soldier, and bought a lot of bone beads, but they didn't find it. Immediately, the Bone Kings were furious and began to order an investigation, absolutely not allowing such a thing to happen again. Chapter 1488 The Big Harvest, The Bone Will Be the Bone. Xuanshu Ancestral Realm. Yi Tian came back with a smile on his face. Although the next time I copied the Bone Soldiers and sneaked into the forbidden area of the Sea of Bone, it would not work, but this time the harvest was very large, and it was not in vain for his plan for a long time. 18 bone beads, 120,000 ancestral bone stones. I wonder if these ancestral bone stones have any effect on me. Yi Tian took out an ancestral bone stone and absorbed and refined it. It's a bit effective, but it's far inferior to the bone beads. According to estimates, the cumulative effect of 120,000 ancestor bone stones is estimated to be equivalent to a bone bead. Yi Tian estimated. In this way, it is natural that the effect of bone beads is greater. However, it is useless for him to keep the ancestral bone stone, and there is no way to go to the Bone Sea Forbidden Land to buy bone beads. Refine all of them, Yi Tian decided. Each ancestral bone stone was consumed by Yi Tian's refining. Years passed, only tens of thousands of years, these ancestral bone stones were all refined by Yi Tian. And Yi Tian's cultivation has also improved a bit, and his strength has become stronger. In the days that followed, Yi Tian kept refining bone beads. As each bone bead was refined, Yi Tian's strength became stronger and stronger. Moreover, Yi Tian found that he was far from reaching the limit, and it seemed that his combat power had reached the peak of the top ancestor, but he could still continue to improve. In the blink of an eye, hundreds of thousands of years have passed. At this time, all 18 bone beads were refined by Yi Tian. And now, Yi Tian's strength has increased several times. His previous strength had already reached an incomparably terrifying level, and now it has increased several times, which is extremely terrifying. I can continue to enter the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, and this time my strength has increased several times. Those Bone Kings may not know it. I can hide some of my strength, and when it bursts out, I may be able to kill some more bone soldiers, thereby getting a lot of bone orbs. Yi Tian thought to himself. Once he obtains more bone beads, his strength will reach an incomparably terrifying level, thus sweeping the forbidden land of the Sea of Bones. In short, this time he wants to enter the Bone Sea Forbidden Land to harvest more bone beads. This day, Yi Tian's cloned body came outside the forbidden area of the Sea of Bone, and without any hesitation, directly entered the forbidden area of the Sea of Bone. Boom! Yi Tian took the initiative to enter the depths of the forbidden land of the Sea of Bone. At this time, 25 Bone Kings appeared, which were estimated to be all the Bone Kings of the forbidden land of the Sea of Bone. At the same time, a large number of Bone Generals and Bone Soldiers formed a team to kill Yi Tian. Damn ancestor, you really didn't die, but even if you didn't die, killing your special clone will bring you huge losses. The Bone Kings said angrily. In their opinion, Yi Tian's clone is so special, just like the main body, it must pay a great price. With their 25 Bone Kings and so many Bone Generals and Bone Soldiers, they were enough to kill Yi Tian, and they couldn't let Yi Tian kill a Bone Soldier. Boom! Under the constant siege, Yi Tian seemed to be completely crushed, and was even seriously injured, as if he was in a desperate situation. At this time, the Bone Kings slackened, thinking that Yi Tian was powerless and would definitely die. Just then, Yi Tian suddenly broke out all the fighting power, rushed out of the siege of the Bone Kings, and killed the Bone Soldiers. The ultimate ancestral skills of the extreme arm combined with the ultimate ancestral skills of domineering, and then the ultimate ancestral skills of the streamer and golden wings, the ultimate ancestral skills of the speed category, rushed over at the limit speed, and broke out. The ultimate blow. Boom! Under one blow, the 3 Bone Soldiers could not dodge, and were directly smashed by the blow, and they fell to their death on the spot, leaving behind 3 bone beads. Yi Tian waved his hand, and after collecting 3 bone beads, he continued to bombard other Bone Soldiers. Although the bone soldiers are comparable to ordinary ancestors, they are too far behind Yi Tian to prove that they can withstand a full blow. After all, Yi Tian's strength is dozens of times stronger than that of ordinary top ancestors. Stop him, the Bone Kings hurriedly said. If Yi Tian kills too many bone soldiers, once he harvests a lot of bone beads, he can use the bone beads to improve his strength, and then they will be unable to deal with Yi Tian. If that happens, they're in big trouble. All skeleton soldiers get out of here. The Bone Kings gave the order. For flowers, no matter how strong Yi Tian's strength is, he can't kill a bone general with one blow, and it takes several tricks to kill a bone general. Therefore, the bone general can stay here, but the bone soldiers cannot. However, the speed of the bone soldiers is too slow, and Yi Tian's speed is too fast, much faster than the speed of these Bone Kings. These Bone Kings could not trap Yi Tian for the first time, so they lost the siege of Yi Tian's chance. Bang bang bang, a famous bone soldier was blown up by Yi Tian and turned into bone beads. In a short time, Yi Tian harvested more than 30 bone beads. At this time, many bone soldiers had already disappeared, and they had escaped. Point 0. At this time, it is not suitable to hunt down the bone soldier, because the bone soldier must have escaped into the old nest, where there is a bone race formation, and if he goes, the Bone Kings can easily kill him with the formation. So, he started attacking the bone generals. However, the number of bone generals besieged him. It was very difficult for him to kill a bone general, and he finally paid the price of serious injury before killing 2 bone generals and escaping the forbidden land of the Sea of Bones. If Yi Tian's main body also comes in, the main body plus the duplicated body may be able to kill more bone generals and a large number of bone soldiers, but Yi Tian does not dare to take risks. After all, the strength of the bone tribe is mysterious and unpredictable, and it can also be obtained from the door. The other end mobilizes more Bone Kings, and it may even mobilize more powerful bone races. By then, he will be in danger. Therefore, he only dares to send a duplicate body. It doesn't matter if the harvest is less, at least he is safe. After coming out of the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, Yi Tian's cloned body sent the harvest to the main body, and immediately disbanded the cloned body on his own. 2 Bone General Bone Beads, 33 Bone Soldier Bone Beads, this time the harvest is too big. Yi Tian said very excitedly. Once he has refined all these bone beads, the 25 Bone Kings will definitely not be able to stop him. If the bone race does not help, he will be able to sweep the entire forbidden land of the Sea of Bones. At this time, in the depths of the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, in a majestic hall, 25 Bone Kings were discussing about Yi Tian. Chapter 1489 Zeon Emperor Weapon. There are currently 25 Bone Kings in the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. The weakest one is comparable to destroying the ancestors. The strongest Bone King has reached the peak level of the top ancestors, but it is still not Yi Tian's opponent. Otherwise, also will not help Yi Tian. At this time, the 25 Bone Kings were all very nervous. Everyone, what should I do? The top ancestor of the Dark Forbidden Area is too powerful. I am afraid that he will soon have the combat power of the Supreme Ancestor, and the Supreme Ancestor of the Dark Forbidden Area is comparable to the Bone Emperor, and if the Bone Emperor wants to forcibly come here, there will be a huge price to pay. But if we don't care, after a period of time, the top ancestor has refined those bone beads, and after the strength has increased greatly, we can't stop him. Those ancestor-level bone soldiers will be afraid it will be massacred by him and become an opportunity for his growth, said a Bone King. There are only 3 options at present. One is to evacuate here, the other is to ask for help and ask a large number of 703 from the Bone King town to guard here, and the third is to make a Bone Emperor pay some price to guard this place. Another Bone King said, it's impossible to withdraw, the first way doesn't need to be thought about. The other Bone Kings said one after another. Withdraw? What are you kidding? What a heavy price they paid for the establishment of the Forbidden Area of the Sea of Bones. This is their hope, just like the ancestor of the Forbidden Area of Darkness. At this level, many resources of the Forbidden Area of the Dark are useless to them, and there is no way to improve them. It is almost hopeless to increase the combat power. In the same way, the same is true for the Bone race. They must also rely on the resources of the Dark Forbidden Area to quickly improve their strength. Since the Bone Sea Forbidden Land was born in the Dark Forbidden region, although the rules are different from the Dark Forbidden region, it has been affected, so some resources born here can have a great effect on them. If the time goes on, it can still be improved, some strength. It's just that they can't compete with the rules of the Dark Forbidden Area. Once they enter the Dark Forbidden Area, they will surely die. But the Dark Forbidden Area will have catastrophe again and again, just as the realm will also have catastrophe. At the time of the catastrophe, the origin of the Dark Forbidden Area was chaotic and the rules were weakened. They only needed to pay a certain price to enter the Dark Forbidden Area, snatch the resources of the Dark Forbidden Area, and thus strengthen the bone race. Last time, they broke into the Dark Forbidden Area and obtained great benefits. The Dark Forbidden Area is relatively young, and the strength of such a place is very weak. There are not many ancestors, and it is impossible to compete with them. Unless it is other places with similar backgrounds, they can threaten them. The bone race discovered the Forbidden Area of Darkness, which was a great opportunity for the bone race. Last time, the bone race plundered the resources of the Dark Forbidden Area, and several bone emperors were born. Therefore, how could they give up such a big opportunity? Even if they paid the price of a large number of bone soldiers, they could not abandon the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. Once they did, they would have no hope of entering the Dark Forbidden Area, or they would have to pay a heavier price. Then ask for help, the Bone Kings decided. As for letting a Bone Emperor guard here, this is the last resort. Unless you are in a desperate situation, you will not use such a method. After all, once this is done, the price paid by the Bone Emperor is too great. Not only will his strength plummet, but even his origin will be affected, resulting in the inability to progress for infinite years. Therefore, it is possible to ask some Bone Kings to guard here. Soon, the Bone Clan dispatched another 20 Bone Kings, including one extremely powerful top Bone King, not even weaker than Yi Tian's previous battle strength. The Bone race felt that they had dispatched so many Bone Kings to guard the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. Even if Yi Tian dared to come in again, they would be sure to kill Yi Tian. At this time, Yi Tian was refining bone beads in the Xuanshu ancestral realm. This time, he obtained a lot of bone beads, and after refining the bone beads, his strength continued to improve. Nearly 1,000,000 years have passed, and more than 30 bone soldiers have been refined by him, which has greatly improved his strength again. But at this time, Yi Tian felt that his cultivation had not reached the limit. So, Yi Tian continued refining the 2 bone beads. The energy contained in the Bone General Bone Orb is naturally far more than the Bone Soldier Bone Orb. After all, Yi Tian has refined a lot of Bone Soldier Bone Orbs, and the effect will naturally decrease, and he has never refined Bone General Bone Orbs before. Once refining, his strength will probably increase a lot. At that time, his strength will definitely be able to kill a Bone General with one blow, and even severely damage a Bone King with one blow. If it is a top ancestor like Destroy Ancestor, he can kill him within a few moves. Refining. It took Yi Tian millions of years to completely refine the 2 bones and the bone beads, and his strength has also increased a lot. Without such treasures as bone beads, Yi Tian would be useless just by absorbing, refining, and annihilating treasures, and his hard work would be meaningless, unless he could create a more powerful ultimate ancestral skill, or create an ultimate ancestral skill. The ancestral skills above, otherwise his cultivation will not be able to improve his strength. It's still the idea of playing bone beads. Yi Tian thought to himself. This day, Yi Tian copied the cloned body and let the cloned body enter the forbidden area of the Sea of Bones again. When Yi Tian descended to the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, 45 Bone Kings appeared and joined forces to besiege Yi Tian, with a large number of Bone Generals to assist. Otherwise, if the 45 Bone Kings didn't stop them, wouldn't they be able to enter the old nest, and more bone soldiers would fall, and they might even damage the most important treasure of the bone race, the door. Therefore, a large number of bones will form a formation, which can withstand Yi Tian's offensive. However, they still underestimated Yi Tian's determination. Yi Tian desperately attacked the Bone General, not caring about his injury at all. In the end, Yi Tian bombarded the 6 Bone Generals at the cost of being seriously injured and dying, took away their bone beads, and brought out the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. If it is the real top ancestor, with the strength of Yi Tian, how can he die like this? Even if he really wants to deal with the forbidden area of the Sea of Bone, it must be combined with all the ancestors to attack the forbidden area of the Sea of Bones, rather than using this desperate method. Only Yi Tian didn't worry about the fall of his copy body, so he dared to be so 5.8 who didn't care about his life. After obtaining the 6 Bone Generals, Yi Tian began to retreat and refine the Bone Generals, and his strength continued to improve. At this time, the Bone King of the Bone Sea Forbidden Land was in a predicament. They knew very well that 45 Bone Kings still couldn't kill Yi Tian quickly. Of course, they felt that Yi Tian's strength had definitely reached the pinnacle of the top ancestor, and there was no way to improve it, so he could never break the shackles and become the top ancestor even if he obtained 6 bone orbs. Therefore, they still did not invite the Bone King to guard here, but instead mobilized more than a dozen Bone Kings and brought a Supreme Emperor weapon. Even the Bone race doesn't have many Zeon Emperor weapons, and this time, one piece is used, which can be described as a forbidden place in the Sea of Bone. With so many Bone Kings and a Supreme Emperor weapon, once Yi Tian enters the Bone Sea Forbidden Land again, they can definitely kill Yi Tian. Chapter 14 90-20 Defense Ultimate Ancestral Skills. Xuanshu Ancestral Realm. Yi Tian's cultivation is constantly improving, and his combat power is getting stronger and stronger, as if there is no limit. But Yi Tian knew very well that he was approaching the peak of the top ancestor. And even the bone will not improve his strength very much, maybe after these 6 bones have all refined the bone, and then refining the bone will only be 1/3 or even 1/5. One effect. With my current cultivation base and strength, if I refine the bone soldier orbs, the effect will be minimal, right? Yi Tian thought to himself. This is the same as the silent treasure. If you refine too much, it will have no effect if you continue to refine it later. This is the same as ordinary people who eat too much of a medicine will develop resistance, and the same is true of the ancestors. Forget it, first refine all the 6 bones and bone beads, and then continue to snatch the bone beads. Yi Tian muttered. Millions of years have passed, and under Yi Tian's full strength refining, the 6 bones have completely refined all the bone beads. At this time, Yi Tian's strength has been greatly improved, much stronger than before. Since then, Yi Tian copied his body again and broke into the forbidden area of the Sea of Bone with his copy body. 29 Bone Sea Forbidden Land. As soon as Yi Tian came in, he sensed a large amount of Bone King aura. 60 Bone Kings, the Bone race has dispatched so many strong men. Yi Tian was surprised. Boom, 60 Bone Kings came across and besieged Yi Tian one after another. Just during the battle, one of the Bone Kings sacrificed a bone sword. When this bone sword appeared, Yi Tian felt the breath of death. What kind of weapon is this? Although Yi Tian was not panicked, he was shocked. It doesn't matter if the cloned body dies, the key is that he has never seen such terrifying weapons in the dark forbidden area. He was sure that there was absolutely no holy ancestor and destruction ancestor, otherwise he would have used it long ago when he dealt with him last time. Once such a weapon was used, he would never be able to resist the destruction of the ancestor last time, and he would definitely be killed instantly. Die, the ancestor of the dark forbidden realm. 1. The Bone King roared. Boom, the bone sword turned into a ray of light and stabbed at Yi Tian. At this moment, the time and space were fixed, and as powerful as Yi Tian, there was no way to break the time and space blockade, as if all the power could not resist this bone sword. Open to me, Yi Tian roared loudly in his heart, mobilized all his strength, and a door of ultimate ancestral skills was urged, and only then did the restraint be lifted. However, he still couldn't dodge this bone sword. Puff, the bone sword penetrated Yi Tian's body, but it didn't kill him, it just severely injured him. After this blow, the Bone King's body was extremely weak, which was obviously the price of using the bone sword. But at this time, Yi Tian was seriously injured and dying, and he couldn't take the opportunity to kill the Bone King. The other Bone Kings seized the opportunity and immediately attacked Yi Tian, and one Bone King withdrew from the battlefield with the weak aura. In a short time, Yi Tian's copy body was bombarded to death. I didn't expect that after my strength became stronger, I was bombarded and killed. Yi Tian was speechless. He also knew very well that the reason why he was bombarded was not because there were more than a dozen Bone Kings, but because of the bone sword. It is definitely a powerful weapon used at the level of the Zeon ancestor, which can seriously injure him, and even the ancestral skill of the restoration class cannot recover his injuries in time. Yi Tian did not continue to send the cloned body over. If there is no way to stop the bone sword, no matter how many times the cloned body is sent, there is no way to obtain the bone beads, instead, he will be bombarded again and again. Defense must be strengthened, Yi Tian thought to himself. He has always felt that his defense is very strong, and the 2 ultimate defense ancestral skills are superimposed, but they are still penetrated by the bone sword. 2 defense ultimate ancestral skills can't compete with that bone sword, what if it is 3 or even 4? Yi Tian thought to himself. Defense ultimate ancestral skills are easy to stack. If it is an offensive ultimate ancestral skill, it is indeed difficult to stack, or even impossible to stack. Therefore, if he created the ultimate defense ancestral skill that could be stacked, he might be able to block the attack of the bone sword. In the years to come, let's work hard to create the ultimate ancestral skills in defense. Yi Tian decided. He has many experiences in creating ultimate ancestral skills, and now that his cultivation has reached such a level, the speed of creating ultimate ancestral skills is naturally faster. According to Yi Tian's estimation, he can create at least 2 or 3 defense-type ultimate ancestral skills in 1 year. If it is even created to the later stage, the ultimate ancestral skills created are afraid that there are more. Although the ability to display an ancestral skills is very large, and the burst of multiple ultimate ancestral skills at one time will even consume a large part of the ancestor's power, but as long as he can block the blow of the bone sword, he can kill some bones in a short period of time. Years passed slowly. Yi Tian has been creating the ultimate defense-type ancestral skills. At this time, the Bone Kings of the Bone race had never seen the ancestors enter the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, and they thought that Yi Tian had suffered heavy losses. It must be because the clone was killed and paid a huge price. At least there was no way to repair it for a long time. So one by one heaved a sigh of relief. Over time, some Bone Kings returned to the Bone Clan. In the blink of an eye, 10 realm years have passed. At this time, the Bone Kings of the Bone Sea Forbidden Land had already forgotten about Yi Tian. However, no one knows how many defense-type ultimate ancestral skills Yi Tian has created in such a long time. Ha ha ha, there are 18 defense-type ultimate ancestral skills, but unfortunately, I try to create defense-type ultimate ancestral skills, but I can't do it, as if some kind of force restricts me from creating defense-type ultimate ancestral skills. Quote. Yi Tian muttered. Because of this limitation, he has only created 18 kinds of ultimate ancestral skills, plus the 2 defense ultimate ancestral skills that he knew before, that is a full 20 defense-type ultimate ancestral skills. Most of the defense ultimate ancestral skills are shield-type ultimate ancestral skills, and this fusion superimposes. Today, he possesses 20 ultimate defense-type ancestral skills, and even a single blow from that bone sword can't hurt him, not even the attacks of the Bone Kings. If he has been using 20 defense-type ultimate ancestral skills, although he can only fight for a while, the power of the ancestor will be exhausted, but it is estimated that he will be invincible for a while. This time, be sure to get enough bone beads, even a few Bone King bone beads. Yi Tian thought to himself. Chapter 1491 Sweeping the Forbidden Land of the Sea of Bone. Bone Sea Forbidden Land. It is very peaceful here, a famous bone soldier and bone general are cultivating here, even the Bone King is cultivating, there is no tension, as if he had forgotten the matter of Yi Tian invading the Forbidden Land of the Sea of Bone. Moreover, there are only 30 Bone Kings here now, and the other Bone Kings have all returned to the Bone Clan. This day, Yi Tian came to the Forbidden Land of the Sea of Bone again, and as soon as he entered here, the aura of incompatibility was naturally discovered by the Bone Kings, and it was useless to hide it. Damn, that ancestor is here again. The Bone Kings said angrily. Boom, 30 Bone Kings went to stop Yi Tian, and a large number of Bone Generals also formed a battle formation to stop them. As for the Bone Soldiers, they fled as far as possible. Moreover, some Bone Soldiers returned to the Bone Clan to rescue, otherwise, Yi Tian would not be able to do anything by relying on these Bone Kings alone, and it is very likely that some clansmen would be lost again. Boom, 30 Bone Kings besieged Yi Tian. They did not use the Bone Sword, because the Bone Sword had been sent back to the Bone Clan. After all, it is a supreme imperial weapon, but it does not belong to them. Without the Zeon Emperor item, how would they deal with Yi Tian? Soon, Yi Tian found out that they didn't have that Bone Sword, and immediately became extremely excited. Immediately, he began to deal with those Bone Generals. Kill. A battle formation was smashed, and a famous bone would be severely injured. Then, Yi Tian squeezed with one hand and crushed a bone to pieces, leaving only one bone bead, which he immediately put away. Bang bang bang. A famous bone general did not have the strength to fight back at all, and was blown up one after another, turning into bone beads. The Bone Kings are extremely angry. The Bone General is the high-level combat power of the Bone race. Losing one is not a small loss, but now it has lost so much. Unexpected. A Bone King was severely injured by Yi Tian's full-strength blow, and flew out. The bones on his body were cracked, as if they were falling apart. Although the fracture of the bone healed instantly, the injury did not heal so quickly. Next, Yi Tian aimed directly at the Bone King and attacked him with all his strength. Under the sequential attacks, the Bone King couldn't bear it any longer, and he was severely injured and dying. The other Bone Kings wanted to stop them, but they couldn't. Yi Tian's strength is too strong now, it is simply not something they can withstand. Moreover, at this moment, Yi Tian used the 3 ultimate defense-type ancestral skills, directly ignoring the attacks of these Bone Kings, and desperately trying to kill a Bone King. Shabai, run away, the other Bone Kings said quickly. Shabai, that is, the Bone King who was seriously wounded and dying. However, his speed was too slow. Yi Tian's speed was much faster than him. Once he wanted to escape, Yi Tian stopped him. Finally, under the bombardment of Yi Tian's punch, the Bone King's body was completely shattered and could no longer be healed, turning into a bone ball. This bone bead has a golden pattern and is far larger than ordinary bone beads. This is the Bone King bone bead. When a Bone King fell, those Bone Generals panicked, and even a few Bone Kings panicked. The Bone King is also afraid of falling. It is said that when they broke into this place, only some fell when they opened up the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, or when they confronted other powerful forces in the Dark Forbidden Area, would some Bone Kings fall. As for the confrontation with the ancestor of the Dark Forbidden Realm, it has almost never fallen to a Bone King. But now, a Bone King has fallen into the hands of the ancestor of the Dark Forbidden Area. Don't run away, besiege him with all your strength, and wait for reinforcements to arrive. A Bone King ordered. Those Bone Generals have no choice, they dare not escape, trying their best to stop Yi Tian, lest Yi Tian invade the door. Once they destroy the door, they will be the sinners of the Bone race. Even if they knew very well that Yi Tian longed for the bone beads, if the Bone Generals stayed here, they would wait to die, but even if they used their lives to accumulate, they had to stop Yi Tian. Boom! A statue of bone will continue to fall, and the Bone Kings will continue to be injured, completely unable to compete with Yi Tian. At this moment, they are also very urgent and want rescue to come as soon as possible. Otherwise, the Bone Sea Forbidden Land is afraid that a large number of Bone Generals and even Bone Kings will be slaughtered. Just then, a Bone King passed through the door and came to the Forbidden Land of the Sea of Bones. One of the Bone Kings held a bone sword, which was the supreme imperial weapon of the Bone tribe. Kill the ancestor, the Bone Kings who came over said angrily. I saw that the Bone King holding the bone sword said nothing and started to activate the bone sword, vowing to use this supreme imperial weapon to kill Yi Tian. Last time, they used this imperial weapon to inflict heavy damage on Yi Tian, causing Yi Tian to be severely injured and dying. In the end, they were unable to compete with these Bone Kings, and were surrounded and killed. They absolutely can still besiege Yi Tian this time. After all, the top ancestors can't compete with the supreme emperor weapon. Kill. The bone sword turned into a ray of light, killing Yi Tian. This moment, Yi Tian instantly activated that ultimate defense type ancestor skill. A total of 20 defense ultimate ancestral skills turned into layers of shields to protect Yi Tian. Click. The bone sword pierced, and layers of shields were pierced. But when it pierced the 10th shield, it finally stopped. Yi Tian blocked the blow of the supreme emperor weapon. And the Bone King who motivated the supreme emperor weapon is extremely weak at this moment. Yi Tian used the ultimate ancestral technique of flowing light and approached the Bone King. The two Bone Kings were protecting the weak Bone King, but unfortunately they couldn't stop Yi Tian and were directly blown away by Yi Tian. As for the incomparably weak Bone King, he had no resistance at all and was killed by Yi Tian with one blow. The second Bone King has fallen. As for the Supreme Emperor item, it also fell into Yi Tian's hands. Quote. Impossible, the Supreme Emperor weapon can't hurt him. A famous Bone King was terrified. In their eyes, even the general power of the Zeon ancestor cannot be attacked by the Zeon Emperor's weapon without being injured. In fact, in order to resist that blow, Yi Tian did consume 1/10 of his ancestor's power, and this blocked the Supreme Emperor weapon. Then, Yi Tian cancelled some defense-type ultimate ancestral skills, otherwise he would not be able to maintain his combat power for too long. Zhao's good. Very quickly, 10 minutes have passed. At this time, Yi Tian beheaded a large number of Bone Kings, and beheaded another Bone King, which is equivalent to beheading 3 Bone Kings. And a famous Bone King from the Bone race came to support, and perhaps a more powerful Bone race would come. In addition, the power consumption of the ancestors on Yi Tian is very serious, and the combat power is seriously declining. If he fights for a while, he is afraid that his power will be exhausted. So, Yi Tian tried to leave. Leave my family's Supreme Emperor weapon. Those Bone Kings went crazy, but Yi Tian ignored them at all. Wow! Yi Tian, with the 20th layer of defense ultimate ancestral skill, rushed out of the encirclement and left the forbidden area of the Sea of Bone. And at the moment he left, he seemed to sense a breath of suffocation, and even the bone sword that was put away seemed to have broken away. But when Yi Tian came back to the forbidden area of darkness, the bone sword was honest, and there was only a faint roar that shook the entire forbidden area of the Sea of Bones. Chapter 1492 Attempt to trade with the bone race. Ha ha ha, this time the harvest is too big. Yi Tian was extremely excited. 3 Bone King's bone beads, 123 Bone General bone beads. What is this concept? It means that he killed 3 top ancestors this time, more than 100 elite ancestors. And how many ancestors are there in the entire Dark Forbidden area? At least there are not more than 100 elite ancestors on the surface, at most there are no more than 10 elite ancestors. It must be said that the bone race is extremely powerful, and this loss still cannot shake the foundation of the bone race, but for him, it is a major gain. Once he has refined so many bone beads, his strength can definitely be improved to the pinnacle of the top ancestor. And his top ancestor is the ultimate. I am afraid that it is comparable to the ordinary ancestor. Refining. The bone beads were absorbed and refined by Yi Tian, tempering the body, strengthening the power of the ancestor, and the cultivation base continued to improve, and the strength continued to increase. In the blink of an eye, 100 million years have passed. At this time, Yi Tian had already refined all the more than 100 bones into the bone beads, and it was difficult to improve his strength. There are still 2 Bone King bone beads, continue refining. Yi Tian secretly said. Boom! The energy of the Bone King bone orb poured into Yi Tian's body, frantically tempering Yi Tian's ancestor's body. Under such circumstances, Yi Tian started to improve again, but the speed of progress was still slow. Yi Tian is very clear that his strength has reached the pinnacle of the top ancestor, and even if he refines these 2 Bone King bone beads, it is difficult to improve his strength much. In the blink of an eye, another tens of millions of years have passed. Yi Tian has completely refined the 2 Bone King bone beads, but the cultivation base has not been able to improve any more, and the combat power has reached an extreme. Can't get any better, Yi Tian muttered. Even if he obtains more Bone King bone orbs, he will not be able to improve his strength. Unless he can break this shackle and be promoted to the level of the strongest ancestor. But he is very clear that the level of the top ancestor to the strongest ancestor is not the one that can be crossed by the improvement of the cultivation base. It must involve a secret, otherwise there will be no rumors of the strong ancestor in the Dark Forbidden area. Even the ancestors of the ancestors, they only know that there are ancient ancestors sleeping, but those ancient ancestors are only the top ancestor realm, and no ancestor has ever entered the level of the strongest ancestor. If there is really a strong ancestor, those strong ancestors have already swept the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. The cultivation base cannot be improved, and the ultimate ancestral skill is the pinnacle of ancestral skill, and he cannot continue to improve it. Once the ultimate ancestral skill is created, it is the pinnacle, and it is called the ultimate. If the cultivation base and ancestral skills can't be improved, he can't improve his strength, and he doesn't even know how to improve his strength. Even if the copying talent is awesome, but if you don't know how to improve your strength, you will naturally have no way to improve. When I left the ancient sea forbidden land before, the bone race dispatched a terrifying powerhouse, and that aura definitely surpassed the top ancestor. Even the strongest ancestor might not be able to beat the opponent. The opponent is definitely comparable to the top CJFI beauty, the Zeon progenitor. Therefore, the Bone Clan must know how to break the secret of the Zeon progenitor. Yi Tian thought to himself. Will the Bone Clan tell him this secret? Unexpected, Yi Tian took out a bone sword. This bone sword is the supreme imperial weapon of the bone race, and he has refined it, but he cannot exert the power of the bone sword. After all, this is the bone sword of the bone race, not suitable for him. But for the bone race, the value of this Zeon Emperor artifact is absolutely high, and perhaps he can use this Zeon Emperor artifact in exchange for the secret of impacting the Zeon first ancestor. Yi Tian did not bring this imperial weapon, and directly sent the cloned body to the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. Even if this duplicate body falls in the forbidden area of the Sea of Bones, at least the Zeon Emperor artifact is not lost, and he still has the capital to negotiate. Bone Sea Forbidden Land. Yi Tian stepped into this place and immediately attracted the attention of the Bone Kings in the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. This moment, the Bone Kings did not attack Yi Tian, and the other Bone Generals and Bone Soldiers all came to the center of the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. At the same time, formations floated up, protecting the center of the Sea of Bone Forbidden Land. Obviously, they did not dare to fight with Yi Tian to prevent too many clansmen from falling. Yi Tian went deep into the forbidden area of the Sea of Bone and looked at a King of Bones. I'm here to negotiate, Yi Tian said, the ancestor of the dark forbidden area. What do you want to negotiate? A Bone King said. The reason why he replied to Yi Tian was not because he really wanted to talk to Yi Tian, but because he was delaying time, waiting for a Bone Emperor to come. I want to trade with the bone race. I will return your bone race's Zeon Emperor artifact, and you tell me how to step into the Zeon ancestor level. How? Yi Tian said. Let's think about it, the Bone King replied. But deep in his heart, the Bone King sneered and said, it's impossible to even think about breaking through to the realm of the ancestors. The Zeon Emperor artifact is indeed very precious, and the bone race doesn't want to lose it, but it doesn't mean that the bone race can't snatch the Zeon Emperor artifact back. Once the calamity of the forbidden area of sound comes, the Bone Emperor can enter the forbidden area of darkness, and then Yi can suppress Yi Tian. Even if Yi Tian's clone can be condensed again and again, but the main body has fallen, it will definitely die. By that time, Yi Tian's body could not run. Therefore, they just need to wait for some time. There is absolutely no need to trade with Yi Tian. But he wouldn't tell Yi Tian this. Coming, a Bone King said excitedly. Boom, a Bone Emperor descended, and the breath instantly blocked the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. At the same time, a Zun Bone King started, trying to intercept Yi Tian, not allowing Yi Tian to escape from here. However, Yi Tian was not ready to leave either, and looked directly at the Bone Emperor. Click, a 100-meter-high Bone Emperor appeared in front of Yi Tian in a golden battle suit, exuding a terrifying aura. However, Yi Tian also felt the suppression of this Bone Emperor by Feng Tiandi. Obviously, this Bone Emperor cannot exert his full strength in the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. The Bone Sea Forbidden Land only allows the Bone King to act at the highest level. This Bone Emperor forcibly stepped into this place. I am afraid that he has paid some price. Yi Tian guessed. Boom. This Bone Emperor made his move and did not give Yi Tian any chance to negotiate. However, the other party doesn't seem to prepare to kill Yi Tian, but wants to capture Yi Tian. After all, killing Yi Tian is just killing a clone, which is of little significance. If you capture Yi Tian, you may be able to use this clone to study some clone secrets or use secret techniques to kill Yi Tian from the air. I saw a bone finger penetrated, and its power was several times stronger than that of the Supreme Emperor weapon. Moreover, such an attack can be done more than once, and the Bone King can only urge the Supreme Emperor to attack once, so the gap between the two is too great. Whoa whoa whoa, a door of defense ultimate ancestral skills were deployed in an instant, and Yi Tian's strength was much stronger than before, so the formidable power of the ultimate defense ancestral skills was naturally stronger. Click, layers of defensive shields were pierced, but this Bone Emperor finally only pierced through 13 layers of defensive shields, and was powerless. Your Excellency, if you continue to take action, I will also dispatch you. At that time, you will not be able to keep these Bone Generals and Bone Kings, and I am just a clone, so I am not afraid of death. Is it negotiating or continuing to fight? Yi Tian said coldly. This Bone Emperor stopped his hand, looked directly at Yi Tian, and said, you are very strong, your realm is only equivalent to the Bone King, but no Bone King can withstand my blow without being injured, your strength is relatively weak. The Bone Emperor is not too bad, and it is comparable to some powerful Bone Emperors in defense. Thank you for the praise. Yi Tian smiled. The Bone Emperor said solemnly, what do you want to negotiate? The Zeon Emperor's weapon is exchanged for the secret of impacting the Zeon Ancestor. The Zeon Ancestor of our Dark Forbidden Area is equivalent to your Bone Emperor. Although the paths are different, there may be similarities in some places, so I want to know how to break the shackles. Yi Tian asked. The Bone Emperor was silent and did not answer immediately. That's not enough, the Zeon Emperor artifact is only in your hands temporarily, until the day of the catastrophe, my clan will still have a way to retrieve it. Bone Emperor rode. Really? Yi Tian sneered. If I attack this Bone Sea Forbidden Land again and again, how many people will your bone race lose, unless you keep guarding here, or once you leave, I will even try my best to destroy that door. As soon as the door was mentioned, the Bone Emperor's expression changed drastically, and his aura began to become violent. You dare. The Bone Emperor was furious. If you don't agree with this deal, I will. Yi Tian said with a smile. Chapter 1493 hit the Holy Ancestor with one punch. The Bone Emperor hesitated, he was indeed afraid. He couldn't keep guarding here all the time, not only putting a heavy burden on himself, but also on the forbidden area of the Sea of Bones. It's okay to guard it for thousands of years, but it will be dangerous if it lasts for a long time. And the mere thousands of years are not a lot of time for them at such a level. Once he leaves, Yi Tian will come to make trouble. The Bone Sea Forbidden Land will not only suffer heavy losses, but if Yi Tian destroys the door, it will be bad. Although the top ancestor may not be able to destroy the door, the probability is very low, but the Bone Emperor does not dare to gamble. Moreover, if the Bone clan in the Bone Sea Forbidden Land were killed, even if the door was not destroyed, it would be equivalent to destroying the foundation of the Bone clan in the Dark Forbidden Land. Therefore, absolutely cannot offend Etn completely. Okay, I agree to the deal. The Bone Emperor agreed. If you don't agree, there's nothing you can do, otherwise, the Bone race will suffer heavy losses. As for Etn, after obtaining the method of attacking the first ancestor, will he reach the realm of the first ancestor? He is not worried, because it is not that simple to attack the first ancestor, and it is not something that can be done by a genius monster. Immediately, the two made an oath of life. Although it may not be useful, at least it has a certain effect. Moreover, the Bone Emperor did not dare to disobey, otherwise, under Yi Tian's desperate revenge, the Bone race would not be able to bear it. Subsequently, Yi Tian returned to the Xuanxu sacred realm and took the Supreme Emperor artifact. This thing is not very useful to him, it is better to trade it. This Supreme Emperor weapon, give it to you. Yi Tian threw the Xian Emperor artifact over. At this time, the Bone Emperor also handed over a bead, which recorded the mystery of the top ancestor's impact on the strong ancestor. Happy cooperation, Yi Tian smiled. Humph. The Bone Emperor snorted coldly, not happy at all. Wow, Yi Tian left the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, and will hardly come here in the future, and the Bone Emperor also shuttled through the gate and left the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. Xuanxu Ancestral Realm. Yi Tian carefully browsed the information recorded in the bead, and gradually realized the key to the impact of the first strong ancestor. Whether it is the first ancestor of the strong, or the Bone Emperor, they actually belong to the same level, but the names are different. The top ancestor is almost the limit of the Dark Forbidden area. No matter how you practice, you cannot break it. This is the limitation of the Dark Forbidden area. Not to mention that Yi Tian has comprehended many ultimate ancestral skills, even if he creates hundreds of thousands of ultimate ancestral skills, he still cannot break it. No one can break the shackles in a world. However, if you leave the Dark Forbidden area, you can break the shackles and become the ancestor of the strongest. Just like the Bone King of the Bone race, if he is in the Dark Forbidden area, he can enter the Dark Forbidden area, and he is expected to break the shackles and become a Bone Emperor. In the Endless Era, the Bone race gave birth to several Bone Emperors in the Forbidden Area of Darkness. New Jin ancestors like Yi Tian don't know such things, neither do Jia Zhu and Zan ancestors, but those ancient ancestors who are sleeping do know. But during the Great Calamity, even the Bone Emperor did not dare to step into the Dark Forbidden Area, otherwise he would surely die. In the same way, if Yi Tian dares to step into other worlds similar to the Dark Forbidden Area, he will be instantly obliterated, and he can only pass when he waits for the catastrophe of other worlds. But if you want to pass, you must use the door. It is the only way to control a door before you can go to other worlds. The Bone race has mastered a door, and no one knows how to get it out, only the Bone Emperors of the Bone race will know. Mastering a door, you have to know when the opposite heaven and earth will enter the catastrophe before you can pass. Either of these two conditions is very harsh. Yi Tian muttered. Moreover, if you want to break through, you must go to the main body in person. The reason why the Bone race dares to tell this secret is that he is not afraid that he will use the door of the Bone race to break through. After all, if he passed the body, it would be in line with the Bone race's intentions, and the Bone race would definitely dispatch multiple Bone Emperors to kill him. Moreover, the Bone race didn't enter the catastrophe, and he didn't dare to go there. The past is death. According to the situation of the Bone race, the 6 forbidden areas of the Dark Forbidden Area should be arranged by 6 powerful worlds, which are the bases of the Dark Forbidden Area. Once the Dark Forbidden Area enters the catastrophe, the powerhouses of these forces will enter the Dark Forbidden Area to snatch resources and attack the realm of the Xian ancestor. 1. Yi Tian guessed. However, according to the current situation, the Dark Forbidden Area is probably still a long time away from the next catastrophe. For such a long time, he couldn't improve his cultivation, and he couldn't stand it either. You must find an ancient ancestor to ask about the situation. Yi Tian muttered. Who to look for? He didn't know any of the ancient ancestors, and he didn't even know where they were. The Dark Forbidden Area is so large, but it is not as small as the Bone Sea Forbidden Area. A top ancestor is sleeping and hiding, and he can't find it. Unexpected, Yi Tian thought of the Holy Ancestor. The Holy Ancestor is very likely to be a disciple of an ancient ancestor, and there is definitely a way to contact that ancient ancestor. For flowers, in the past, the strength of the Holy Ancestor was not much different from his. But now, Yi Tian can't look down on the strength of the Holy Ancestor, and he can kill him within a few moves. Then go to the dark ancestral realm. Yi Tian's copy body ripped apart time and space, and instantly brought the dark sanctuary. For the first time, the ancestors such as Jiazu and Zanzu felt it. The ancestor of all Dharma. The ancestor of all Dharma. The ancestors greeted Yi Tian one by one. I'm going to find the holy ancestor. Yi Tian responded to these ancestors. The ancestor of 10,000 laws, why are you looking for the holy ancestor? Jiazu was curious. Find him and ask about the situation. Yi Tian said with a smile. Jiazu was a little curious, but did not continue to ask. At this time, Yi Tian came outside the dark ancestor realm. 0. The holy ancestor naturally knew that Yi Tian was coming, but he felt that it was not good, as if he was already in a dangerous situation. Saint Ancestor, come out. Yi Tian said. Boom. The holy ancestor came out of the dark ancestor realm, looked at the ancestor of all methods, and said with some fear, Ancestor of all methods, what are you looking for from me? I want to find the ancient ancestor behind you and tell me where he is. Yi Tian asked in a commanding tone. The ancestor behind what? I don't know what you mean by the ancestor of all methods. The holy ancestor shook his head. If you don't say it, you will die. Yi Tian threatened. Death. The holy ancestor said coldly. The ancestor of all methods, even if you have the top ancestor avatar in the main body, the combined force can't help me. Yes. Yi Tian shot. Only one punch hit the past, using almost 80% of the strength. Saint Ancestor's face changed dramatically, and a defensive ancestor armor of the ancestor level appeared on his body, and he exerted an ultimate ancestor skill to compete with Yi Tian. However, useless. Crack. With one punch, the ancestral artifact was cracked, and the body of the holy ancestor was almost blown up, and the terrifying power annihilated his countless vitality. Under this punch, the holy ancestor was severely wounded and dying. At the same time, the entire dark ancestral world was cracked, and countless creatures were annihilated by the aftermath of the shock. It can be said that the dark holy sect was hit hard by the aftermath and was almost destroyed. Now, the ancestors were shocked, and some of the ancestors who were secretly spying were also dumbfounded. What kind of combat power is this? If you make a few more shots, the holy ancestor will probably be killed. Chapter 1494 Three Great Calamities, the Third Dark Calendar. How is it possible? How can you have such terrifying strength? The patriarch could not believe. He is the top ancestor, and he is not the top ancestor who just broke through. How powerful is his strength? In the dark forbidden area, the top ancestor is the limit, even the top ancestor, there is no way to hit him hard. But Yi Tian did it, and only hit him heavily. If he made several more shots, he would be directly killed. Did you step into the first ancestor of the strong? The holy ancestor was horrified. But immediately he denied it. Impossible, you can't reach the ancestor of the strongest, no one in the dark forbidden area can reach the level of the ancestor of the strong. Naturally I haven't reached the level of the supreme ancestor. Yi Tian stared at the ancestor, but killing a top ancestor like you will take a few tricks. The holy ancestor was frightened. Once upon a time, he was contemptuous of everything. Except for the destruction of the first ancestor, he was not afraid of anyone. But now, he was afraid of Yi Tian. How long has passed? Yi Tian has grown from an ant to a level that he needs to look up to. 703. The ancestor of all methods, what do you want? Asked the holy ancestor. Yi Tian stared at the ancestor and said, I said before, I want to find the ancient ancestor behind you, don't deny it, or you will die. The holy ancestor dared not deny it anymore, and quickly asked, what do you want to do with my master? Master. Yi Tian had already guessed, but now he finally got a positive answer from the holy ancestor. Sure enough, that ancient ancestor was the master of the holy ancestor. Yi Tian said, don't worry, I just asked your master to ask some things, not to trouble him, after all, I don't know him, there is no hatred between each other, there is no need to deal with him. I need to contact the master. If the master is unwilling to see you, I can't do anything about it. After all, I don't know where the master is, said the holy ancestor. No problem, Yi Tian nodded. Subsequently, the holy ancestor began to contact his master and waited slowly. Not long after, the holy ancestor replied, Master is willing to see you, but only in avatars to see you. Can. Yi Tian agreed. Just then, an incarnation of the ancestor appeared in front of Yi Tian, in the image of a middle-aged man, wearing a simple black robe, and his body was very powerful. Through this incarnation, Yi Tian roughly judged the opponent's strength, and indeed reached the peak realm of the top ancestor. Although it is much worse than him, it is much stronger than the holy ancestor. I have seen the ancestor of all methods. The ancestor of the black robe is polite. I don't know what your excellency is called. Yi Tian said lightly. The ancestor of the black robe said, call me 100 souls. The ancestor of 100 souls, I want to ask some information, may I ask? Yi Tian said politely. No problem, ancestor 100 souls agreed. Immediately, Yi Tian and the 100 soul ancestor isolated from the prying eyes of other ancestors and communicated privately. Yi Tian also knew that if he hadn't threatened the holy ancestor, the 100 soul ancestor would definitely not have appeared. Ancestor of 100 souls, I want to know what happened to the great calamity. Yi Tian asked. You also know about the catastrophe. The ancestor of the 100 souls was a little surprised. That's right, Yi Tian nodded. I learned from the Bone Clan in the Bone Sea Forbidden Land that the Bone Clan came in from the other side of the door. They stay in the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, and they can only enter the darkness when there is a catastrophe. The Forbidden Area, but now I dare not set foot in the Dark Forbidden Area. Moreover, according to the information I know, there has been a catastrophe in the Dark Forbidden Area. Forces like the Bone Race have invaded the Dark Forbidden Area, but no such information has been passed down in the Dark Forbidden Area. Presumably you ancient ancestors should know a lot of secrets. 1. The ancestor 100 souls was extremely shocked and said, I didn't expect the ancestor of 10,000 laws to know so much and to be able to get news from the Bone Race, which really surprised me. Some news can indeed tell you that a catastrophe has indeed occurred in the Dark Forbidden Area, and as far as I know, there have been 3 great calamities in total, and I have only experienced 1 great calamity. In terms of realm years, 120,000 realm years is a realm era, 108 realm eras can be regarded as a dark calendar year, and after 9 dark calendar years, there will be a catastrophe. In the 3rd dark calendar year, there are still 6 dark calendar years left to usher in the catastrophe. As soon as the 100 soul ancestor finished speaking, Yi Tian was shocked and said, Dark Holy Land. Yes, every time a dark holy place is born, it means that a dark calendar year has passed, and 3 dark calendars have passed since the last catastrophe. Therefore, the ancestor of all methods does not need to worry too much about the next catastrophe. The ancestor of the 100 souls laughed on the road. Then what's the matter with the door? You can enter other worlds similar to the Dark Forbidden Area through the door, and you cannot break through to the Supreme Ancestor in the Dark Forbidden Area. About this, the ancestor of the 100 souls should know. Yi Tian asked. I do know. The ancestor of 100 souls nodded. It seems that you also know the ancestor of 10,000 laws. I am very surprised. Even among our group of ancestors who have experienced a catastrophe, there are only very few people who are vaguely aware of this. Know a little. 1. Yi Tian said what he knew. According to the information I know, it is impossible to break through to the first ancestor in the Dark Forbidden Area, and can only break through by entering other worlds. But if other worlds do not enter the catastrophe, once if you enter other worlds, you will be erased by that side of the world. You can only pass when other worlds enter the catastrophe. Only then can you hope to hit the realm of the ancestors of the strongest. I want to know one thing, whether the Dark Forbidden Area has the first ancestor mastered a door. No, the ancestor of the 100 souls affirmed. I can tell you with certainty that no ancestor in the Dark Forbidden Area has a door. After all, we have only experienced 3 great calamities, and some worlds have even experienced 10 great calamities. Hundreds of cataclysms, compared with other worlds, the Forbidden Area of Darkness is still too immature, so it cannot compete with other powerful worlds. If we master a portal, maybe we also have the hope of giving birth to a supreme ancestor, but at present, with my as far as I know, there has not yet been a supreme ancestor born. Of course, this is what I know, and some ancestors passed through the unstable portal and disappeared since then. Maybe those ancestors stepped into the strong ancestors, maybe, but it's more likely to pass through and fall. 1 inch. An unstable portal, what is that? Yi Tian was curious. The 100 soul ancestor did not hide it either. This was information that was easy to know, and it was nothing to tell Yi Tian. So, he said, the Dark Forbidden Area will appear soon after the Dark Calendar every other time. This door will only appear for a short time, and then it will dissipate, rather than exist forever. We have not yet found a way to make this the gate exists forever. Some ancestors will not be able to withstand the ravages of time, and if they want to be promoted to the strongest ancestors, they will venture into another world. If the other world happens to be in a catastrophe, they can survive by luck. But this probability is too low, I dare not gamble. So, you can't enter other worlds and attack the power of the Xian ancestors. Yi Tian frowned. Yes, there is no way. 100 Souls shook his head. We are too weak. If we are as strong as the bone race and are willing to build the eternal gate now, we will have the hope of advancing to the strong eyes, but they will definitely not be willing. Once we hand over such a method, we will have a way to enter their world and possibly threaten their native world. Yi Tian was a little disappointed. Suddenly, Yi Tian asked again, do you know which force is the weakest? 5.8 is far less powerful than the bone race, but has a forbidden place in our dark forbidden area. What do you want to do? 100 Soul Ancestor was a little curious. Just tell me, Yi Tian said. 100 Souls was also afraid that Yi Tian would trouble his apprentice, so he said, according to what I know, the bone race belongs to the middle level among these forces, and the weakest one is called Haitian Shenzong, which is a sect of alien beasts. The sect forces have a forbidden area in our dark forbidden area called the Haitian Forbidden Area. But it is no less dangerous than the Bone Sea Forbidden Area, because this forbidden area is covered by seawater with strong erosive ability. Only those alien beasts of the Haitian sect can surviving in it. Once our ancestors enter, the strength will be weakened by most, and even unable to fight for a long time, and there are at least thousands of alien beasts stationed in this forbidden area, of which there are 6 or 7 alien beasts whose strength is comparable to the top ancestors. According to speculation, there are not many alien beasts in this force that are comparable to the realm of the strongest ancestors, at most 1 or 2. Thank you, Yi Tian thanked. Chapter 1495 Destroy the Forbidden Land of Haitian and Occupy a Gate. Yi Tian learned a lot of information from the ancestors of the 100 Souls, but some information, the ancestors of the 100 Souls also pretended to be confused. Yi Tian is very clear that the ancestors of the 100 Souls must not have disclosed all the information, and there is only one information that is really useful to Yi Tian, and that is the information of the Forbidden Land of Haitian. Perhaps for the ancestors of the 100 Souls, this information is useless, but for Yi Tian this information is too useful. The strength of the Haitian sect is weak, so the strength of the Haitian Forbidden Land is weak. He can completely destroy those alien beasts in the Forbidden Land of Haitian, and then use the copy talent to copy a strange beast, and enter the heaven and earth where the Haitian sect is located through that alien beast, thereby entering another world and seeking the secret of breakthrough. This method is applicable to the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, because the bone race is too powerful, and a bone emperor can be dispatched at any time. And if he dared to copy a bone king who died in battle, he would definitely be discovered. However, the alien beasts in the Haitian Forbidden Land are different, and the number is very rare. If he reaches the door and smashes those alien beasts, slaughtering the alien beasts in a short period of time, the Haitian sect will not be able to react. Although the seawater in the Forbidden Land will limit a part of my strength, but my strength is too strong, it is nothing to suppress a part. Yi Tian thought to himself, and let his copy body go to the Forbidden Land of Haitian. Wow, 29. In an instant, Yi Tian came outside the Forbidden Land of Haitian. Then, he stepped into the Forbidden Land between the sea and the sky, and was surrounded by countless sea waters. These sea waters were constantly eroding his flesh and suppressing about 30% of his strength. The mere 30% of the strength is nothing to suppress, he is still invincible in the top ancestor. An outside ancestor broke in and killed him. The alien beasts of the Haitian sect rushed over. These strange beasts are all kinds of strange, but each of them is huge and huge. From the breath on their bodies, Yi Tian roughly judged their strength. Most of them were at the level of ordinary ancestors, and only 5 of the elite ancestors were comparable to the top ancestors, which were still weaker than the strength revealed by the ancestors of the 100 Souls. Yi Tian didn't show his full strength immediately, otherwise, after these alien beasts were afraid, he would immediately dispatch alien beasts to rescue him. In that case, he would be easily exposed. Therefore, he showed very weak strength at the beginning, and he was able to reach the level of the top ancestor. Since then, Yi Tian was intentionally beaten and injured by them, but he kept approaching the door during the battle. The Haitian Forbidden Land is not as huge as the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, which shows that the strength of the Haitian sect is not as strong as the Bone Race, so the Forbidden Land opened in the Dark Forbidden Area is not large. These alien beasts are completely unaware of Yi Tian's purpose, and they don't even know that Yi Tian's goal is the door. On the edge of the door sits 2 exotic beasts, one is comparable to the elite ancestors, and the other is comparable to the top ancestors, but it is not a powerful top ancestor but a general top ancestor. These top ancestors, even if his strength has been suppressed, and at most a few moves can kill the opponent. Yi Tian secretly said, almost. Yi Tian suddenly burst out with all his strength, layer upon layer of ultimate defense ancestral skills were displayed, and the attacks of those alien beasts were all blocked, unable to hurt Yi Tian in the slightest. Several alien beasts were directly blasted into blood mist, and immediately fell, causing Etienne to rush out and go straight to the door. At this time, those alien beasts finally understood. Etienne is pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger, deliberately disguising his own strength, but his goal is their portal. Go and ask for help, this ancestor is going to destroy our door. A strange beast roared. The two alien beasts guarding the gate immediately understood, and they were about to go through the gate to ask for help. However, they were too late. At this time, Etienne used an ultimate ancestral skill, the ultimate ancestral skill of eternity, which is the ultimate ancestral skill of time, and combined with the ultimate ancestral skill of dream butterfly, it directly fixes the time and space. If the strength of these two alien beasts is comparable to Etienne, then they definitely have the strength to break the time and space, but their strength is a little worse, so they are directly fixed. They may be able to break the time and space, but it will take a little time. And Etienne would not give them this time. At this time, Etienne rushed over at the fastest speed, with the blessing of the two ultimate ancestral skills in the speed category, directly letting Etienne rush to the portal side. No one could stop him. After coming to the door, Etienne smashed the alien beast comparable to the elite ancestor with one hand, and killed the opponent with one move. Then, Etienne blasted another alien beast with a punch. He stood right here at the door, not allowing any beasts to pass through. It belongs to him here. Damn, he didn't want to destroy the door, but wanted to occupy our door and rush through it with all his strength. The alien beasts used forbidden techniques at all costs, and they all killed Etienne. And this time, Etienne's body descended and stepped into the forbidden land of sea and sky. If it is the forbidden land of the Sea of Bones, Etienne's body does not dare to step into it, but he dares to step into the forbidden land of the sea and the sky. The door cannot transmit news, so the things here cannot pass through. Under normal circumstances, the Haitian sect on the other side of the door will not send alien beasts, so there is no way to know immediately. Therefore, it is very safe for the ontology to enter here. Besides, with his current strength, even if there is a real beast comparable to the ancestors of the strong descendants, he can easily leave. With Etienne's body entering the forbidden area of Haitian, he cooperated with copying his body and massacred these alien beasts. Those weaker beasts, Etienne almost killed one with one move. After a while, there were only 5 alien beasts left. The strength of these 5 alien beasts is comparable to the top ancestor, but they are still not Etienne's opponents. The most powerful alien beast is comparable to the very powerful top ancestor, but its strength is much weaker than Etienne. Soon, the other 4 alien beasts had been slaughtered by Etienne, and only the last powerful alien beast remained. This alien beast has a lot of life-saving means, and its strength is very strong, so it has resisted for a long time. But in the end, this alien beast was killed by Etienne. Of course, Etienne is also very big. It has to be said that if the strength of Haitian 703 forbidden area is stronger, it will be much more difficult for him to destroy these alien beasts. The alien beasts in the forbidden land of Haitian have been completely destroyed by me, and the Haitian sect in another world will never be able to perceive their death. Etienne muttered. He released the duplicate body, and immediately accelerated time. Soon, the copying ability can continue to be used. This time, Etienne copied the most powerful alien beast. Boom! A huge alien beast similar to an ape, but with 6 arms appeared. Compared with the previous alien beast, the alien beast copied by Etienne is exactly the same, even the soul. At the beginning, the bone race that Etienne copied was identified as the real bone race by the origin of the dark forbidden area, thus obliterating the cloned body. Obviously, the origin of the dark forbidden land cannot identify the true and false of Etienne's duplicate body. Therefore, this replica body can definitely enter the door and will not be recognized. Afterwards, Etienne plundered all the resources of the forbidden land of Haitian and created the illusion of robbing the resources of forbidden land of Haitian. Then, Etienne shot and severely injured the copy body, and was in a state of being seriously injured and dying. Otherwise, there would be no injuries at all, and if he passed through the portal, he would be suspected by the Haitian sect. This replica body is not only severely injured, but even the soul is in a state of being about to collapse, but it will not really collapse. Almost there, Etienne secretly said. Chapter 1496 The Way to Break the Shackles. The cloned body alien passed through the door and pretended to ask for help, while Etienne's body quickly left the forbidden land. Although he felt that the Haitian sect was not strong, what if the information was wrong? Therefore, he must be careful. Haitian Shengzong, resident. When Yi Tian's duplicate body passed through the door at the cost of being seriously injured and dying, it was immediately discovered by the Haitian Saint sect alien beast guarding at the other end of the door. There is an ancestor invasion. Yi Tian called immediately. What happened? A powerful alien beast appeared and asked Yi Tian for information. At the same time, some strange beasts let Yi Tian take some special healing items and life-saving items to prevent Yi Tian from falling. Yi Tian reported the situation truthfully, saying that there was a powerful ancestor who invaded, almost comparable to the first ancestor of the strong. They were not opponents at all, and almost all of them were killed. He escaped at a great price. Immediately, a strange beast comparable to the first ancestor of the strongest appeared and passed by in person. And Yi Tian returned to Haitian sect to heal his wounds. Haitian sect did not doubt him at all, and even this piece of heaven and earth recognized him and did not erase him. Moreover, all the alien beasts in the forbidden area of Haitian have fallen, and he will hardly be discovered. It can be said that Yi Tian's plan has been completed. Haitian sect. Yi Tian has been back for a while. He still has a few servants. After all, as a powerful alien beast comparable to the top ancestor, his status in the Haitian sect is naturally high. During this time, he inquired about the recent situation through his servants. After all, he has been guarding the forbidden land of the sea and sky, and he does not know the situation here, so it is okay to ask. He gradually learned about this holy place by asking about the classics and materials of the heavenly sect. This side of the world is not the only one of the Haitian sect, but has three major sects, of which the Haitian sect is the weakest. The alien beasts that are comparable to the ancestors are called holy beasts here, and the holy beasts are divided into ordinary holy beasts, elite holy beasts, top holy beasts and supreme holy beasts. The Haitian sect has 2 supreme sacred beasts, and the entire world has 10 supreme sacred beasts, which are naturally much stronger than the dark forbidden area. And there are more top sacred beasts, and the Haitian sect alone has more than 70. The Haitian sect has a total of thousands of holy beasts, which is equivalent to thousands of ancestors. From this, it can be seen how powerful the Haitian sect is, and the entire dark forbidden region cannot compete with a single Haitian sect together. And the Haitian sect is still a relatively weak force, far inferior to the bone race. Yi Tian has now sneaked into this side of the Haitian sect, which is also called the sanctuary by them. The sanctuary is inexhaustible. Except for holy beasts, ordinary creatures cannot traverse the entire sanctuary at all, which is similar to the situation in the dark forbidden area. Yi Tian currently has 2 goals. The first goal is to seek a breakthrough and step into the realm of the Xian ancestors. The second goal is to obtain the method of establishing the door. Although Haitian Shengzong is weak, he has mastered a door. He also wants to master the method of establishing the door so that the door can exist forever. Complete the first goal first. After the first goal is completed, it is easy to complete the second goal. Yi Tian thought to himself. After all, the door is the most important thing in the Haitian sect, and the way to establish it must be in the hands of the 2 powerful monsters, and it is difficult to get it. Yi Tian now only knows how to enter the other side of the world, in order to break the confinement of the top ancestor, and thus be promoted to the realm of the strongest ancestor. But how to break through, Yi Tian is still unclear. It stands to reason that the top sacred beasts of the Haitian sect should know. But Yi Tian is a fake top holy beast and has no memory of that top holy beast. He didn't rush to understand this information at first, but kept recuperating and understanding the situation at the same time. During the period, a holy beast came to condolence and visit. Of course, he almost lost the Haitian forbidden land, and the punishment of the Haitian holy land has arrived, deducting several of his offerings from the year of the holy beast. The year of the holy beast is equivalent to the dark calendar, so this is a relatively heavy punishment. After hundreds of millions of years, another batch of holy beasts settled in the forbidden land of Haitian. In order to prevent the loss of forbidden land, the top 3 top holy beasts of Haitian sect guarded the forbidden land, and 1 supreme holy beast was closed at the edge of the door to practice. Once something happens, it will immediately come to the forbidden land. It can be seen that they attach great importance to the door in the forbidden land. And with the passage of time, Yi Tian gradually got to know some holy beasts of Haitian sect, at least nothing would go wrong. With the continuous understanding, Yi Tian found that the sanctuary is somewhat similar to the dark forbidden realm, at least the creatures here have various talents, including the holy beast and the holy gift. However, this duplicate body does not contain duplication talent, so there is no way to check the talent of other holy beasts, but from those holy beasts in Haitian forbidden land, Yi Tian also sees all holy gifts, and one of them also has ancestral gifts. It is this body copied by Yi Tian. However, these talents are of no use to Yi Tian. After getting acquainted with the holy beasts of the Haitian sect, Yi Tian often communicated with other holy beasts as the holy beast named Yuan, and even showed some desire for the most powerful holy beast. Through various ways to discuss with other top holy beasts, such words as super holy beast, dark forbidden area catastrophe, breakthrough, etc., and gradually understand the secret of breakthrough. As Yi Tian guessed, the top holy beasts all know how to attack the most powerful holy beasts. So, he finally got the secret. I didn't expect that it would be so difficult for the top holy beast to break through to the Xian sanctuary. Yi Tian muttered. According to what he understands, if the top holy beast wants to break through to the supreme holy beast, it must enter another world at the time of the catastrophe, comprehend the rules of another world, and when the rules are comprehended to a certain extent, create a holy beast by yourself. Once the holy beast body is complete, the two holy beast bodies can break the shackles under the stimulation, so that Jin Zhao's good will be promoted to the supreme holy beast, and the two holy beast bodies will also merge into one, turning into a superpower. Holy beast. But wanting one's own body is inherently difficult, and to cultivate it to the perfect state, one must need resources, a piece of resources which requires the snatch of countless original self. And the impact of the strongest holy beast also requires massive resources. Because of this difficulty, the Haitian sect has only 2 supreme holy beasts so far. In this way, if the top ancestor wants to hit the strong ancestor, he must comprehend the rules of another world, so as to create the ancestor law that fits the other world, condense the body of the ancestor, and then cultivate the body of the ancestor to the peak realm of the top ancestor, so as to break the shackles, integrate the 2 ancestors' bodies, and step into the realm of the strongest ancestors. Yi Tian was enlightened. For other ancestors, it is too difficult to complete such a breakthrough. But for him, it doesn't seem to be difficult. Chapter 1497 fits with the ancestral law of the sanctuary heaven and earth. Knowing the key to the impact of the first strong ancestor, Yi Tian began to comprehend the rules of the sanctuary in the Haitian sect. For him, the rules of this unfamiliar sanctuary are completely different from the dark forbidden land, and the understanding of this body is not as good as the body, and there is no way to use the ability of derivation to comprehend the rules, everything can only rely on himself. Therefore, it would be very difficult for Yi Tian to create an ancestor law belonging to the sanctuary. The most important thing is that it is too difficult for the 2 worlds to connect. Yi Tian has not yet been able to contact the cloned body, so it is not clear when he will be able to create an ancestor method. Sanctuary, Haitian Shengzong. In the blink of an eye, several years of the realm passed. At this time, Yi Tian's cloned body had already been integrated into the Haitian sect as Yuan, and no holy beast would doubt him, and he would hardly be exposed again. In addition, Yi Tian could occasionally obtain some incomplete holy laws from Haitian Shengzong. The holy law is similar to the ancestral law of the dark forbidden realm. Only by integrating the holy law can one become a holy beast. Yi Tian couldn't integrate the holy law, but he could learn from the holy law to understand and master the rules of this world, which was of great help to him in creating the law of the first ancestor. With the status of Yi Tian's body, it is not difficult to get some incomplete holy laws, and it is even possible to get some holy laws. 703 is different from the forbidden area of darkness. There are many holy laws in the sanctuary. Although they are still very precious, they are not difficult to obtain. Because the sacred beasts of the dark sanctuary often fall and die, there are many holy methods without masters. Coupled with some supreme holy beasts, other holy laws can also be created, enriching the number of holy laws in the sanctuary. Therefore, there are many holy laws here, and the difficulty of obtaining them is naturally very low. It is a pity that the holy law here is not suitable for the human race, otherwise Yi Tian is going to return to the human race with a group of holy laws and create a group of ancestors. Xuanshu Ancestral Realm. Yi Tian's body cannot progress, so he can only constantly create the ultimate ancestral technique and occasionally create the ancestral technique. He is walking the endless ancestor path, so it is possible to create a single ancestor method. Although they have created some before, but some paths have not been created, after all, the endless ancestors have extended many paths. In theory, he can create countless ancestors. Of course, this is faster and harder. Perhaps at the beginning, he could create some ancestor methods, but later, it became more and more difficult, and it even took countless years to create an ancestor method. In the blink of an eye, 100 years have passed. Yi Tian created the 3 ancestor methods and placed them in the human race temple. Only the supreme ancestors who contributed a lot are eligible to exchange, thus merging into the ancestors. After that, another 100 years passed before Yi Tian created an ancestral law, which was obviously much more difficult than before. At the back, Yi Tian needed hundreds of years to create an ancestor method. One after another realm years passed, and before you knew it, the first realm epoch of the third dark calendar passed. The first realm age is 120,000 realm years, and Yi Tian is equivalent to 120,000 realm years, but the first ancestor method created is only 23 in total, and now he is afraid to create an ancestor. Law needs one or even several realm epochs. Several realm epochs have passed. Although Yi Tian has created some more ultimate ancestral skills, his overall strength has not improved much, but the strength of the human race has improved a lot, and now he has become the largest force in the Dark Forbidden Realm. The number of ancestors alone, the human race has exceeded double digits at present. This is naturally thanks to the ancestor methods created by Yi Tian. The number of ancestors of the human race has increased a lot, and there are already 13 ancestors. This is because Yi Tian did not give the first ancestor law casually, and he must make a great contribution to exchange the first ancestor law, otherwise the first ancestor of the human race must be more than 20. In addition, under the training of Yi Tian's wife, son, daughter, and sister have all entered the realm of the elite ancestors, and they are only one step away from the top ancestors. If the cloned body brings enough resources from the Haitian sect, it is enough to advance their strength to the top ancestors' combat power. Haitian sect, Yi Tian's cloned body is still cultivating and comprehending the creation of the first ancestor method, but unfortunately the main body is not here. The difficulty of creation has increased countless times, so far CJFI has not created a first ancestor method. In fact, if he created the common ancestor method, he might have succeeded in creating it. But what Yi Tian wants to create is the endless ancestor law that conforms to the rules of the sanctuary, so it is very difficult to create. He also took a path similar to the forbidden area of darkness. At the beginning, he created basic ancestor methods such as gold, wood, water, fire, soil, time and space, and then combined many ancestor methods to create endless ancestor methods. But now, several realm epochs have passed, and he still hasn't created an ancestor law, but it is almost the same as the real creation. What he is creating now is a golden ancestor method, which is not ordinary, and definitely belongs to the top level among the ancestor methods. Different from the golden ancestral method of the dark forbidden realm, this ancestral method completely fits the sanctuary, but Yi Tian is also very suitable for the ontology based on the body structure and cultivation path of the ontology, but a perfect fit is impossible. After all, the main body is a creature in the dark forbidden area, and this is the ancestor law transformed by the rules of the sanctuary world, and naturally it cannot be perfectly matched. This day, Yi Tian's cloned body laughed loudly, just because the golden ancestor method was successfully created. This was a good start. It took 5 realm epochs to create one ancestral method, and to create 12 ancestral methods. 60 realm epochs definitely can't do it, but it can definitely be done in a dark calendar. Yi Tian thought to himself. Subsequently, Yi Tian has entered into a long period of ascetic cultivation again, and almost ignores the affairs of the outside world. Some holy beasts even invited Yi Tian to hunt for treasures in certain treasure places or ruins, but Yi Tian refused all of them. After all, it is not easy for his cloned body to enter the sanctuary world. Next time there will be no such a good opportunity, so this cloned body must not fall. As long as there is a trace of danger, he will not do it. One after another realm era has passed, and in a blink of an eye, 107 realm epochs have passed since the birth of the last Dark Soul realm, which is equivalent to more than 10 million realm years. This is such a long time. During such a long time, Yi Tian not only created the 12 basic ancestor methods of the sanctuary world, but also created the endless ancestor methods that fit the holy world according to the fusion of the 12 basic ancestor methods. That is to say, Yi Tian's first goal was completed. First apply to enter the Haitian Forbidden Land to guard for a period of time, and when my copy body enters the Haitian Forbidden Land, I can connect with the main body, share memory and information, and then the main body will also obtain the endless ancestor law of the sanctuary heaven and earth, and then copy the body for a long time. The sanctuary heaven and earth resources accumulated over the years will be sent to the ontology, and the ontology will be able to hit the realm of the strongest ancestors. Yi Tian secretly said. Therefore, he applied to the 2 supreme holy beasts of the Haitian Holy Land to enter the Haitian Forbidden Land. Many sacred beasts of the Haitian sect often enter the Haitian Forbidden Land to inspect the situation, so Yi Tian's application naturally received a positive answer very quickly. Of course, it is not a permanent guard, but after a period of inspection, he will return. But for Yi Tian, this is enough. Chapter 1498 About to break through. The dark forbidden area, the sea and the sky forbidden land. Yi Tian's replica body came here from Haitian Shengzong through the door. For the first time, Yi Tian's main body and the replica body shared memory, and after a brief fusion, the main body and the replica body completely shared memory. At this moment, Yi Tian's body naturally obtained a top-notch ancestor method and an endless ancestor method created by copying his body in the sanctuary world. It's time to go to the forbidden land of Haitian and bring those resources back from the copy body. Yi Tian tore through the void in one step, came to the vicinity of the Haitian forbidden land, and immediately crossed it in one step. At the same time, Yi Tian's replica body was also nearby, and the original body was in contact with the replica body. Yi Tian's cloned body immediately handed those resources to the main body, and immediately began to pretend to fight. Boom! Yi Tian's cloned body was blown away by a punch, and then other alien beasts came one after another, wanting to besiege Yi Tian, but Yi Tian left easily. The damn ancestor actually invaded our base again. An alien roared. Yi Tian's body invaded every once in a while, and actually didn't do anything, just to prepare for this time. If he never invaded the forbidden land of the sea and sky, and invaded as soon as he cloned his body, it would be too suspicious. Therefore, Yi Tian occasionally invades the forbidden land of sea and sky. In this way, the cloned body Heiyuan will not be suspected. In the following days, Yi Tian's cloned body, Heiyuan Holy Beast, stayed in the Haitian Forbidden Land for a period of time before leaving the Haitian Forbidden Land and returned to the sanctuary heaven and earth, and worked hard for the eternal construction method of the door. And Yi Tian's body also has something to do, that is to cultivate the endless ancestor method created from the sanctuary heaven and earth, and attack the realm of the strongest ancestor. Once he has reached the realm of the supreme ancestor, and his combat power is far beyond the present, then there is no need to worry about anything, and there is no need to worry about the future revenge of the bone race. But Yi Tian practiced the endless ancestral law of the sanctuary heaven and earth, but found it very difficult. After all, this is the infinite ancestral law of the sanctuary heaven and earth, which is incompatible with the rules of the dark forbidden area, so it is difficult to cultivate. If it were not for the countless resources from the sanctuary heaven and earth, he would not be able to integrate the endless ancestral law. In the blink of an eye, more than 1,000 realm years have passed. On this day, Yi Tian merged the endless ancestor method from the sanctuary heaven and earth. In this ancestor method, he reached the elite ancestor's combat power, and he was not far from the top ancestor. Afterwards, Yi Tian began to refine the resources from the sanctuary heaven and earth, which took the accumulation of countless years of copying the body of the Heiyuan Holy Beast, and this kind of resources had a great effect on Yi Tian, many of which surpassed the bone beads. Gradually, Yi Tian's second infinite ancestor's way also increased to the top ancestor's combat power, and it continued to improve. The years of a realm era have passed. Yi Tian's sanctuary world's endless ancestor method has also been cultivated to the extreme by Yi Tian, and his cultivation base has reached the level of no progress. The two endless ancestor methods made Yi Tian's strength reach an incomparably terrifying level. Now, he has touched the shackles in the dark. Once he fuses the two endless ancestors, he can break the shackles, and the two ancestors will also merge into one, turning into the strongest ancestors. This step is also time-consuming and not so easy to do. As far as he knew, one of the most powerful sacred beasts of the Haitian sect took a lot of time to finally complete the breakthrough. Strictly speaking, the supreme holy beast of the Haitian sect entered the dark forbidden area during the first catastrophe of the forbidden area. Until the second catastrophe, he still did not complete the breakthrough, but entered again. In fact, he had already created a second holy law at that time, but it was difficult to integrate. The second catastrophe passed, and 6 dark calendars had passed before he broke through to the realm of the supreme holy beast. From this, it can be seen that it is very difficult to merge the two endless ancestor methods, and it is not possible to complete the breakthrough all at once. If it was so easy to break through, the powerhouses at the level of the supreme ancestor, the bone emperor, and the supreme saint beast would not be so rare. After all, during each catastrophe, there are many powerhouses from foreign regions, but among so many powerhouses, few can really break through. Today, the forbidden area of darkness has passed through 3 dark calendars, and is now in the period from the 3rd dark calendar to the 4th dark calendar. Yi Tian doesn't have high requirements on himself, he only needs to complete the breakthrough before the next catastrophe arrives. Of course, he didn't think his talent would be so bad, it would take so long, at most 1 dark calendar time, before he could complete the breakthrough. And a dark calendar has 108 realm epochs, enough for him to comprehend and integrate. One dark era has passed, and the entire dark forbidden area has not changed much, but some ancestors have been born in the dark forbidden area. Most of the ancestors came from the human race, but the dark soul domain also gave birth to many ancestors, and the dark sanctuary and the dark destruction domain also gave birth to several ancestors. For example, a supreme ancestor of Zonman entered the ancestor realm. It is worth mentioning that many holy realms have been born in the Daoshan realm controlled by the human race, and the Xuanxu ancestor realm has become much stronger, very close to the original ancestor realm. Although the primitive ancestral realm is also the ancestral realm, it is actually higher than the general ancestral realm. According to Yi Tian's estimation, although the Xuanxu ancestral well can make Xuanxu ancestral world surpass ordinary ancestral worlds, it can at most reach the level of primitive ancestral world, which is its limit, and it is impossible to really surpass the original ancestral world. 0. After all, it is just a treasure born from a dark holy land. How could it surpass the most powerful world in the dark holy land, the primitive ancestral world? Yi Tian was already satisfied with this. If Yi Tian stepped into the realm of the ancestors of the strongest ancestors, and nourished the ancestors of the Xuanxu realm with the breath of the ancestors, maybe he really hoped to break the shackles of the ancestors of the Xuanxu realm and promoted to another level, the ancestors of the strong ancestors. The name Supreme Ancestor Realm was taken by Yi Tian, which came from the division of the Supreme Sacred Beast Realm of the Haitian sect. The headquarters of the Haitian Sacred Sect is located in the Haitian Sacred Beast Realm. It is said that for a long time, the Haitian Holy Beast Realm was not so powerful, and it was only through the efforts of the two Xian Holy Beasts that the transformation was completed. If you break the shackles and be promoted to the ancestors of the strongest, under the infusion of the source of the dark forbidden area, the ancestors will have a certain chance to transform. Of course, the premise is that Yi Tian must break through in the Xuanxu ancestral world to have such an opportunity. 10 Dark Ages, 20 Dark Ages, 30 Dark Ages. Unconsciously, the fourth dark holy place in the dark forbidden area is about to appear. At the same time, Yi Tian is finally about to complete the fusion of the two endless ancestor methods, breaking the shackles, making the two ancestors fuse, and being promoted to the strongest ancestor. This day, the breakthrough is now, Yi Tian said excitedly. Chapter 1499 Breakthrough, the Ancestor of Xian. Boom! Yi Tian's two endless ancestor bodies began to fuse, and as the fusion of the two endless ancestor methods became higher and higher, the ancestor bodies were also rapidly merging. This process needs to consume a lot of resources. Yi Tian has accumulated countless resources over the years, as well as the resources obtained from the sanctuary world. Take them out one by one to prepare for the impact of the first strong ancestor. His foundation far exceeds that of other top ancestors. Once he breaks through to the strongest ancestors, the resources needed are probably several times or even 10 times more than others. Fortunately, he is well prepared, so there is no shortage of resources. According to Yi Tian's understanding, the top holy beasts need at least a breakthrough in the age of the realm to attack the strongest holy beasts. Of course, they can go out in the middle without affecting it at all. After all, Yi Tian is a breakthrough, and now it is only the body of the ancestors. The process will not be reversed. Of course, if Yi Tian didn't completely break through, 703, he would naturally not leave the border. In the blink of an eye, a boundary year has passed. At this time, Yi Tian has refined a huge amount of resources, and finally completely completed the transformation of the ancestor's body. Today, Yi Tian is already the ancestor of the strongest. 10 times, my strength is 10 times stronger than before. Yi Tian was very excited. Before, his strength had been improved to the extreme, and he couldn't improve it in the slightest, but now it has just improved tenfold, which can be described as a huge improvement. Moreover, he has just broken through to the realm of the strongest ancestor, and there is still a stage of rapid improvement in strength. In a short period of time, it is not a problem for him to increase his strength several times again. In that case, his strength would be dozens of times stronger than when he had never broken through before. He was not surprised by the strength of the Supreme Ancestor. After all, he was extremely powerful at the beginning, but he couldn't beat a Bone Emperor, and he only relied on 20 defense ancestral skills to compete with a Bone Emperor. Hit. In fact, the Bone Emperor forcibly passed through the gate, and his strength was suppressed by the Dark Forbidden Area. It is estimated that he can only exert 30% of his strength, and even paid some price. I am afraid that the injury is not light. In that case, he can be easily suppressed. If a Bone Emperor is intact, he can easily hurt him. But now, with his current strength and the many ultimate ancestral skills he has mastered, he is enough to compete with any Bone Emperor and the strongest sacred beast. You can't take action against Haitian Shengzong first, and then do it when your strength becomes stronger. Yi Tian thought to himself. As a result, he began to frantically absorb and refine countless resources to improve his strength. Now, he has broken the shackles, so he can continue to improve his cultivation, his strength will naturally skyrocket, and he can continue to temper his endless ancestor body, and his strength will increase very quickly. One domain year passed by another domain year, and several domain epochs passed in the blink of an eye. At this time, Yi Tian's resources were exhausted. Originally, he had a lot of resources, not only the countless resources collected from the Dark Forbidden Realm, but also the resources collected from the Sanctuary World again and again, but the speed of refining the resources of the Zeon Ancestor was too fast. After several epochs of painstaking cultivation, those resources could not be supported at all, so they were all exhausted. It can be said that he is now poor. However, his strength has increased a lot, and he is already several times stronger. With his current strength, he can definitely easily hang the two supreme holy beasts of the Haitian sect. Unfortunately, I still haven't got a permanent way to build a gate. Yi Tian sighed. Not long ago, the cloned body made another trip from the sanctuary to the Forbidden Sea, and he naturally shared his memory, but unfortunately the cloned body still did not find a chance. The method of permanent construction of the gate is extremely precious. It is the foundation of the three major sects. It is said that in a long time ago, an exotic powerhouse invaded the sanctuary world at the time of the calamity of the sanctuary. The price was trapped, and when the catastrophe was over, the foreign powerhouse could not return to the foreign land, and was directly erased by the rules of the sanctuary world, leaving behind a lot of inheritance and even the permanent construction of the door. Haitian Shengzong also belonged to one of the forces at the time, but unfortunately, after a lot of fighting, only 3 forces finally gave birth to the Zeon sacred beast. This is what the duplicating body learns through probing. It can be said that apart from the 3 major sects, almost no other forces have the permanent construction method of the gate, otherwise they will definitely try to build the permanent construction method of the gate. There is no way to get the permanent way to build a door by luck, you can only wait for the catastrophe of the sanctuary. According to the calculation of time, the sanctuary will usher in the catastrophe with only 1 dark calendar left, and the dark forbidden area will usher in the catastrophe. There are still tens of millions of years before the 4th dark calendar, and 5 dark calendars before the 4th catastrophe. I can go directly from the door of Haitian Shengzong on the day of the great catastrophe of the heaven and earth in the sanctuary. Entering the sanctuary world and rushing into the Haitian sect, you can not only snatch the resources of the Haitian sect, but also hope to obtain the permanent construction method of the gate. Yi Tian planned. Next, Yi Tian was cultivating hard while waiting for the catastrophe of the sanctuary heaven and earth. On this side, the 4th dark holy place in the dark forbidden area was born, but this time Yi Tian did not participate much, but let the ancestors of the race fight for it. He now completely despises a mere dark holy place. The human race is now very strong, his family has all reached the top ancestors' combat power, and there are many ancestors, many of which are elite ancestors, and other forces can't compete with the human race at all. Therefore, he does not need to worry, unless those ancient ancestors wake up and participate. But those ancient ancestors are all planning for the strong ancestors, but they can't care about a dark holy place. Somewhere in the dark forbidden area, the 4th dark holy place was born, and the ancestors appeared one by one. The ancestors such as the sanctuary, the ancestor of destruction, the ancestor of the world, etc. appeared one by one, and many ancestors of the human race also appeared. The leader was Yi Xingqian, the son of Yi Tian, who also reached the level of the top ancestor, and was in Yi Tian's 5.8 with the help of mastering the 3 ultimate ancestral skills. This is naturally Yi Tian's wholehearted guidance and the demonstration of his ultimate ancestral skills, which finally allowed him to create his own ultimate ancestral skills. Otherwise, relying on himself, there is no way to master the 3 ultimate ancestral skills in such a short time. The ancestor of 10,000 laws hasn't come. The destruction ancestor was surprised. This is a dark holy place, and the ancestor of all methods has no interest. My father doesn't despise a mere dark holy place. Yi Xingqian sneered. This moment, the other ancestors understood Yi Tian's pursuit, and they must be working hard to hit the strongest ancestors just like those ancient ancestors. It's a pity that they didn't even know that Yi Ran had entered the realm of the ancestors of the strongest. Chapter 1500 Deal with the bone race again. Yi Tian didn't care about the 4th dark holy place. In the end, part of the Fourth Dark Holy Land was occupied by the human race, and other forces dared not say anything. Even if the human race completely occupies the Fourth Holy Land, the other ancestors have nothing to say. After all, the human race is indeed too powerful. Cultivation is getting slower and slower, Yi Tian said helplessly. Although the cloned body is still trying to collect resources from the sanctuary, it is still not enough for him to use. Therefore, the cultivation base of the main body is getting slower and slower, and many resources are almost useless to him, and it is difficult to improve his strength. Maybe try to trade with the bone race, Yi Tian thought to himself. The bone race is very powerful and possesses countless resources. If he trades with the bone race, he will be able to obtain a lot of precious resources from the bone race, which will be very helpful for him to improve his strength. This day, Yi Tian's body descended on the Bone Sea Forbidden Land in person. When Yi Tian appeared in the forbidden area of the Sea of Bone, the entire forbidden area of the Sea of Bone began to vibrate. Immediately, those bone race powerhouses panicked. Ancestor Xian, they panicked. The Xian ancestor is a powerful existence comparable to the Bone Emperor, and they have no way to compete. Moreover, the Bone Emperor is about to come, and the strength will also decrease, and it may not be able to compete with a supreme ancestor. This is a real disaster. Of course, many bone races also recognized Yi Tian, the top ancestor who had invaded the Bone Sea Forbidden Land many times before, but now he has been promoted to the supreme ancestor. Respected ancestor, you have signed an agreement with the Bone Emperor of our clan, and you must not invade the Bone Sea Forbidden Land again. A Bone King suppressed the fear in his heart and said, I'm not an enemy of your bone race, I'm just here to negotiate a deal. Yi Tian said, trade. The many experts of the bone race were puzzled and didn't know what Yi Tian was going to trade. In the past, they had never traded with the ancestors of the Forbidden Area of Darkness, because in their opinion, the creatures in the Forbidden Area of Darkness were all ants, and they were allowed to slaughter. On the day of the catastrophe, there are no resources, and they are completely left to harvest, so they simply look down on the weak ancestors of the Dark Forbidden Realm, and naturally they will not trade with them. Moreover, once the transaction is made, it is equivalent to strengthening the strength of the Dark Forbidden Area. If a large number of top ancestors are born, wouldn't it be trouble for oneself? Therefore, it is impossible for the powerhouses of other exotic worlds to trade with the ancestors of the Dark Forbidden Realm, unless the Dark Forbidden Realm can come up with good things that the foreign powerhouses cannot refuse. But now that Yi Tian has stepped into the realm of the most powerful ancestor, he is naturally qualified to trade with the bone race. Respected ancestor of the strong, let us report to the Bone Emperor, we can't be the master of the transaction. The Bone King said quickly. Can? Yi Tian nodded. He is not trading with these Bone Kings, and some Bone Kings can't come up with anything good, and they don't help him much. After all, with his current realm of the most powerful ancestor, even the Bone King Bone Orb is not very helpful to him. Not long after, a ray of Bone Emperor's billion years passed through the portal and came to the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. This idea incarnation does not have much power, but the price to pay is not large. After all, it is not for fighting, and there is no need to pay a huge price for the incarnation to come. What do you want from me? The Bone Clan's Bone Emperor asked indifferently, but his heart was very horrified. At the beginning, Yi Tian was able to cultivate to the peak of the top ancestor. He was not surprised at all, although Yi Tian's combat power was too amazing, and he also created so many defense ultimate ancestor skills, but if he couldn't step into the realm of the first ancestor in one day, he would not be able to. Comparable to existence like him. But how long has passed now? Yi Tian has actually stepped into the realm of the most powerful ancestor, and from the perspective of breadth, it is not just a breakthrough but has already stabilized the realm. If you want to break through to the realm of the ancestors of the strongest, you can't break through hard work. You must leave the Dark Forbidden Area and go to another exotic world, so as to understand the rules of another exotic world, and then take the exotic way, 2 ways. Fusion can break the shackles and step into the realm of the ancestors of the strongest. He didn't know how many doors there were in the Dark Forbidden Area. Perhaps Yi Tian took luck to pass through a door, and the exotic world on the other side of the door is in a catastrophe. No matter what the situation is, it is enough to show that Yi Tian is incomparably defiant regardless of his luck and talent, otherwise he will not be able to enter the realm of the supreme ancestor. Yi Tian has stepped into the realm of the most powerful ancestor, at least in the forbidden area of the Sea of Bone. Their bone race can't help Yi Tian. I want to trade some resources with the bone race. I know that the resources in the Dark Forbidden Domain are very useful to your bone race, and some of your bone race resources are also very helpful to me. Wouldn't it be better for us to trade with each other? Yi Tian suggested. Our ancestors do not lack resources at present. The Bone Emperor wanted to refuse. He doesn't want to increase the strength of the Dark Forbidden area, which is not good for him. Bone Emperor, don't refuse first. Presumably the bone race is not willing to offend a Zeon ancestor, right? And I am willing to use the resources of the Dark Forbidden Domain and other exotic resources to trade with the bone race. In addition, I have already won another foreign world, although it is a very weak foreign world, but the Dark Forbidden Domain will give birth to more powerful ancestors in the future. Although I have signed an agreement with your bone race, I will not take action against the Bone Sea Forbidden Land, but others have not signed agreement. If the bone race is willing to trade with me, I can guarantee that other Zeon ancestors will not attack the Bone Sea Forbidden Land and can permanently retain the existence of the Bone Sea Forbidden Land. How? Yi Tian suggested. What, you have already won an exotic world in the Dark Forbidden area? The Bone Emperor couldn't believe it. However, the Dark Forbidden area at least has a base in another exotic world, this is certain, otherwise Yi Tian will not be able to hit the realm of the strongest ancestors. It is conceivable that more Zeon ancestors will definitely be born in the Dark Forbidden area in the future. 720. If this is the case, the Dark Forbidden area can really completely destroy the Forbidden area of the Sea of Bone. Now, the Dark Forbidden area of Treasure System has risen, it is better to trade with the Forbidden area of Black Sound. Okay, I agree, the Bone Emperor replied. Next, Yi Tian traded with the Bone Emperor of the Bone Race. I saw that the Bone Emperor took out a lot of resources. Yi Tian tried to refine them one by one, and only traded the resources that helped him a lot. After some transactions, Yi Tian took out a huge amount of Dark Forbidden Area resources. Anyway, these resources did not help him much, and it could even be said that they did not help him at all, which was equivalent to waste utilization. And he obtained a huge amount of useful resources from the Bone Race. Of course, the same is true for the Bone Race. At last, Bone Emperor, does your bone race have the cultivation secrets of the Bone Emperor level? I only entered the realm of the Supreme Ancestor. I don't know much about this level. If you have it, I can take out some resource transactions. Yi Tian asked. Yes, but I will only trade you some basic information. As for the really useful secrets, I will not trade it to you, said the Bone Emperor. Immediately, Yi Tian used some resources to trade in a manual from the Bone Emperor. This manual was naturally inscribed temporarily by the Bone Emperor, and it recorded some information about the Bone Emperor. Whether it is the Bone Emperor or the first ancestor of the strong, they are actually at the same level, and naturally have something in common. After the transaction was completed, Yi Tian left the Bone Sea Forbidden Land happily and returned to the Xuanshu ancestral realm.